Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor v World. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here live the day after or the day of, depending where you are in the world, the finale of this historic season, and we are going to talk about it. I'm here with all of the recap bitches who are not in their day order, but we did not sort that out beforehand. I will go in the order that is with me on screen. First, he is the Sarita My Poverty. We've said, okay, no, well, I'm not, Sam, now I'm okay.
Keep going. I'm the Sarita Your Parvati, blah, blah, blah.
I've been replaced so easily.
It is Chappell. Chappell, thank you for being here. How are you?
Thank you, Parvati. As the Sarita, I'm very happy to be here. No, I'm very excited. It's a momentous occasion, and I don't think I would be happier talking about it with anybody but you. So here we are.
Me specifically, or all four?
No, you all, the royal you.
That's not what Sarita would say. You're out. Mike's back in.
You can't kick me out. You're Parvati. I'm Sarita.
All right. Well, that's true. Well, look, to be Parvati on this historic occasion, I shouldn't even given that to myself. But let's talk about someone who bet on Parvati from the beginning. He was our Parvati expert. He won that little competition we were running pre-season, and then he won the draft with all the recap bitches. It is Pooya. Pooya, thank you for being here.
Yes, and my marriage is intact. Damn it, we did it. I'm so happy and excited. I echo everything that Suri said about being here with you all, the royal you. I appreciate all of you. I'm happy to do this with all of you.
I mourned my marriage a long time ago when it was clear that Parvati was going to win this season, not any time before that, about the marriage itself. But was there a grenade? Because you guys had Rob. And then
we agreed very clearly that there was no grenade because there were only two teams. That made no sense.
That made no sense.
You know what? We shouldn't get divorced because Parvati won. We should get divorced because I would wager the marriage. You know what I mean?
You should get divorced for the poor decision you made to make the wager. Yeah.
Make the wager. That was it.
I take nothing back. I take nothing back. It was, well, anyway, was it worth it? Remains to be seen. Anyway, the Sarita My Poverty is here. It's a great Mike Bloom. Mike, thank you for being here.
Listen, I think Chappell could take that title. Shannon, you are my Survivor soulmate. And so I'm thrilled for them to coin that term. What a beautiful finale. Certainly the expected outcome, or most expected, I should say, from what we had going into this, but it did not make the ending that less sweet, especially considering, again, for all of us Die in the Wool fans that have been watching this show for the past 25 years, getting to hear Parvati go out on top, in a manner of speaking, officially seemingly retire from the show by becoming the third two-time winner in English-speaking Survivor history. It's an incredible occasion, and it's an incredible group of people to talk about it with.
Do you think there are people in non-English-speaking Survivor that have won twice? Maybe.
I'm pretty sure actually Turbo from the Challenge won Turkish Survivor twice, maybe. I also think I believe Parvati was the first person to make the final tribal council 3 times in English-speaking Survivor. I think someone said that there was a French Survivor contestant that made the final tribal council 4 times or something.
Damn.
A lot of Survivors.
Dream of RHAP versus the world 2, baby.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to traverse a lot of that hopefully in the next decades if this format sticks. But what a time. Chappell, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about what we just witnessed?
I'm feeling good. Once I sat with it, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was like, Parvati is the greatest player of all time. And it would be a shame if she didn't win the season. And it's just because, again, I feel like we've seen her in so many Survivor situations with so many different characters, with so many types of characters, with so many types of advantages. And we've seen how she's able to roll with the punches with all those things. There's not an aspect of the game that I don't think Parvati is bad at. And there are so many people who have deficits. We can talk about that for people like Suri, who are 100 on the social strategy scale. And then fire making, we got one. We got one, damn it.
We get one?
We got one. I saw her make it,
okay?
That's all I needed to see, okay? Yeah, but with Parvati,
I cheered.
With Parvati, we just, it's put her up against anything, and I'm betting on her every time. And so I feel like this is the coordination she needed. She said she probably won't play Survivor again. And honestly, after beating the world and the Aussies primarily, what else do you have to prove?
Yeah, okay, fine. We can start here about who is the best player of all time and is it Parvati Shallow? Hard to argue with that. I think, as you said, it's there are people with really high highs and then gaps. And then Parvati, has evolved past any gaps she may have had if she had them. I mean, in the preseason Pooya, we kind of said maybe it was a more, not limited, but just like a more specific type of social game. We thought Suri might be a bit more generalized socially, and Parvati would have like cliques that would kind of have an army that would often win. I don't think that's true of Parvati anymore. Like, Parvati is 2 decades on. Her game has evolved, I think, past any gaps, and she certainly is. I think that the success speaks for itself. I used to talk about this about like someone like Haley Leak, and I do think Haley is a great example of this as well. But I do think Parvati is probably the most comprehensive player in Survivor history and has the stats to back it up. And I also think in terms of greatest of all time, your mileage may vary on like a Tony and a Parvati for me, but I think they're the king and the queen, and then it's just taste. Because I also think that Tony has evolved past his gaps. That he had in Game Changers, that he had even in Cagayan. And I don't think that's true of Tony now, who can also do what Parvati can in terms of idols, challenges, a really great, like, can clearly talk to a jury, which we saw Parvati do so well in this episode, strategically innovative, social game on point. So I kind of think at that point, this is like the king and queen for me of 2 players who are so perfect and have like wins to back it up. And I'm kind of fence-sitting that I think at that point, like, pick your poison. But Pooya, what do you think about that?
I mean, the Parvati one I would hard co-sign. I think that what's very clear and what this season showed, what we predicted and talked about coming into this was, could she do that and manage the threat level? You're coming in as one of the leading names in this season. And the threat level was very present enough that there were people talking about it and causing their own exit from the game by wanting to target her. But I think she says it best in the one sentence she summed up at the final tribal, which was, I came in with this huge threat. I got 0 votes all the way into the final tribal council. And I think that, so she's social game was obviously on point. The aura was there enough that people were either terrified of her or wanted to work with her, wanted to get in bed with the enemy because it's too enticing not to have that storyline. And then also, I'm sorry, but just that shot of Luke yelling for his life at the final immunity challenge, while Parv is just chilling. Like, the woman has the physical game down, the comps, it was the big brother on the mind, the challenges down. I just feel like it's hard. It's a good argument, and it's very hard now to not be able to make the case that she is the best, winning 2 seasons. Obviously, the number one thing people are going to complain about or try and dock points for is 16 days. Well, nowadays, plus 10 is Survivor regular, so let's calm down on that. I think also look at the caliber of player here. Practically everybody, for the most part, was either a massive threat that made it to like final 7-6 or final tribal council at the very least, or won the damn show. So
yeah, and Mike and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago about how whoever wins this season would definitely have like more tribal councils, and some of the winners we talk about who didn't go to a lot of tribal councils, like Michelle and Tom. And then I couldn't sleep, so I spent a lot of time thinking about how many tribal councils every winner had ever been to later that night. And I was like, it's not even just like, because we were saying we care more about votes survived than days played. And Parvati played as much as like most New Era winners, or as many tribal councils, and probably thereabouts with something. Like, even like a lot of people who were in like 18-person seasons, I think Tony maybe had, I don't know, I did this a couple of weeks ago, but he was around that level as well, because I think when you have 3 tribe formats, people go to fewer tribal councils.
Yeah, how many did Erica go to?
Yeah, I think she went to 8. I think from my memory. Now I haven't checked my math, but anyway, it's all, I think, she went. So I think, and Parvati here went to 9, right? Well, but if you count the double tribals, 2 votes. So for me, it's 2 tribes going to 2 tribal councils each pre-merge, and then having a merge from 10. Like, she got through a lot of votes. Like, I mean, you can talk about it if you think that takes away, or we have to like qualify the win with that. But for me, it's like, Parvati's the 2-time winner of Survivor. Like, she won this season. The competition was very high. The gameplay was hard. She did it phenomenally, and she survived a lot of votes with no vote against her, which is incredible to me.
Yeah, and that's what's so incredible about this as well, is when it comes to my personal values as to what makes a GOAT, whether it be in something like sports or competition like this, for me, the key tenet is always consistency. It's less about those high highs and low lows, and can you put in a at least similar-ish type of performance, no matter what the setting might be. And Parvati has made the merge 4 out of 5 seasons that she has played. And let's face it, she was swap screwed in Winners of War. And listen, she had luck working for her one way in Micronesia, luck rolled the wrong way in Winners of War. That's Survivor. But I think there are an incredible amount of things that obviously impressed me about her game. But think about the fact that when you look at this final jury vote breakdown, it was near unanimous. And this was not necessarily a gathering of people that have been obsessed with her since 2006, being like, okay, Parvati, you deserved it. This is for everything you've done up to this point, as much as she represents it in tribal council. Kirby was immediately enamored with her, but didn't know her from a hole in the ground. Shawnee probably thought Parvati was like some brand of shampoo before coming in here. But they loved what she brought to this particular season. This was not her coasting on her reputation. As she talked about, she was able to prove herself in this game, in this moment. We saw, in something like Heroes versus Villains, how she was able to fight incredibly well from the bottom. Here we got to see her fight incredibly well from the top, yet still kind of being cornered at nearly every point. There's no other way to call it other than a masterclass. I think the thing that might be working against her in this particular game is the baked-in Suri connection, to which I also say, welcome to returning player seasons. You could argue this with Tony and Sarah in Winners at War as well, that there's just pre-existing relationships that people come in with. We talk about that with the entire Aussie side of things. So I co-sign with the recap. It just says we are in unanimity once again. And I think it's really tough right now to not call her the GOAT.
Yeah, and also with Suri, I mean, is that as important as how big the target was? Returning seasons also have this kind of uneven playing field of reputation where Parvati was maybe the biggest name with Tony going in. So I think that she had a lot stacked against her, she did in Heroes versus Villains, and I think she did, exceptionally well on that as well. So, will everyone now be going through how many tribal councils every winner has been to? You might be surprised how well Parvati actually did compared to that in a short 16 days, which is hectic, by the way. This isn't 16 days, we go to 5 tribal councils. Doing that is its own type of exhaustion that I also think needs to be talked about, because other players fell away. No one else was really playing as well as they did before, and Parvati played better, which is such a credit to her as well. So the episode itself kind of went, I think, as assumed. I don't think there were a lot of surprises here. I was very upset not to get loved ones because I miss HB. So that was, not even a call from HB. And then Peter was like, well, what are they going to fly in someone from Finland? I'm like, I don't think Finland's that far from Samoa. It is a day and a half away by plane. I looked it up. So I kind of get it. And it was only 16 days. But
imagine if Jared showed up.
Yeah, yes. Well, that was it, right? It was either going to be Jared or HB. I wanted to see HB. Yeah, Chappell, what did you think of the episode itself?
Flying that man out there for Suri to stand up on that thing for 30 minutes would have been crazy. Okay. I love my mama dearly, but it was hey, you didn't have to get him out of, that's a day and a half trip for 20, 29. I know they said 30, but I think they were being kind.
Hey, watch it.
Listen, look what she had to go through with him in the Big Brother house. Okay, the least he could do is repay her in kind by going to watch her stand on pegs.
Yeah, man, this is incredible. It's Suri fighting for her life once again, and the thing that we're like, oh God, she has to get over this one hump. We don't know if Suri could ever win because she got to get to the end to do that, and it's just another time where we're very disappointed. But it was a fun watch. You're like, okay, maybe deep down in her, there's an endurance beast, and she's gonna. Nope, she's out. All right, bet, cool. Let's get to fire. It's like we move on to the next thing. I'm like, okay, Janine, it would be great if you just backstab Luke. It'd be out of the ordinary. I don't know if it would even work for you, but just do it. And it's like, nope, not doing that. Okay, fire. We're at fire. We got it. We don't got it. But I saw the fire with my own eyes, okay? And I saw it snap the little wire with the flag go up. So this is, if nothing else, just kind of telegraphing what we have coming for Survivor 50, Shannon. We saw her do it. It's done. The curse is broken. So from this episode, that's all I took. This journey of Suri is really just one more that's got us all sitting at home looking like Lisa on the jury, just crying, just sad, giving all the glory to Suri, but being left with just nothing again.
I can't do it again. I refuse to watch this one more time. I'm so done.
I'm never
Suri
leaving.
not win Survivor.
I'm a faithful follower. I'm faithful.
It was a little murky about that they were probably going to vote Suri even if Path, say Janine wins the immunity challenge. Path came in here likely winning the challenge, even if not being voted for. It kind of felt like the only way for Path to lose would be for Suri to win the challenge, and then for Path to lose at Fire. So this was so dumb. Or what?
If Parvati wanted Suri in the finals, Should she have given her the necklace? Pull the Luke?
No, get this new era mentality out of here. Absolutely not. We don't do that. We don't do that out here.
I
kind of also brought that up. Peter had the exact same reaction, like, no, like, what do you? And I was like, but maybe. It was better for Parvati for Sari to be on the jury. It was very touching that she really wanted her there, not on the jury. I thought it was crazy that the whole first half of the episode was about whether Janine would turn on Luke, which was just never going to happen. Like, she has too much money to do this to a family man who she's been friends with for years. Like, and also, like, if Luke's not on the jury, which we can talk about the perception of Luke, but like at this point, you're going up with Parvati and Sari. You know, you're either straight up winning and you have like the pitch of a lifetime, or you're not. You might as well do it with Luke. Like, he's not the thing standing between you and the win. Either way, I think Luke is the least of the concerns for all of these people. So I do feel like there was no tension there at all. The fire making was interesting because Sari was really getting it. And the whole thing was emotional. You know, like, I think that it being JLP's last episode and how much we care about these players, like that, and the fact that this has been said by many people, but the fact that the final tribal council was Janine, Luke, Parvati, JLP. Like, damn, this is so scripted. Like, how do they do that?
I don't know. There's these are the moments that make me believe in some sort of higher power. Of like, this, the script is scripting right now. You cannot make this up. And the fact that, as you posted about on social media, like, the last torch that JLP ever snuffed was Sari. I mean, listen, ideally you would want it to be an Aussie player just given his association with the franchise, but like, how special is that he gets to snuff the torch of what will now become a record 6-time player in Survivor history?
And the last Australian players whose torch he snuffed would be Shawnee. So
yes, it was a legend.
Not a bad shot at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a question. I have a question. Would Luke have turned on Janine? Is there nothing there for them to be like, all right, we need Sari in the final 3 so bad. Luke, let's skip the fire thing. Cut Janine, and you can be the most cutthroat player on your tribe, and then you come to the end with me and Sari. Should Parvati have done that?
So I don't think Luke is turning on Sari, on Janine, because that actually just gives him the opportunity to be 2-1-1 out of the game. In the hope that they vote for Janine so that she goes to fire over you. I mean, you can tell them that, but I would definitely like shore up with Janine in case they don't, and he feels confident in fire. So, but I definitely think Sari should have been voting for Janine. Parvati's perfect. Parvati is actually better with Sari on the jury. Like, Parvati doesn't, if she's worried about Luke, doesn't need to keep Luke there instead of Janine. Like, Parvati can have her cake and eat it too, and she's been eating cake and cookies all season. Sari should 100%, I think, be voting for Janine. Now, this is kind of weird because I do say, okay, you should only get to the final tribal council in like situations where you can win. However, I think that her read of Luke is wrong. I don't think Luke is a concern for her. I also think her main concern is Parvati, who she's going to the end with anyway. At that point, if she just wants to get to the end and back herself, vote for Janine, because if Janine's with you, it's a 2-1-1 anyway, so you're going to win, and the 3-1 would have won. And if you're making fire, I don't know what Janine's like at fire, but they seem to think that Luke was the best. So I did think for the way that she was looking at it, that she should have voted for Janine, but I don't think Luke should have turned on Janine. He needed to link up with Janine.
I'm just trying to get my mama to the final tribal council. Shannon,
she should have voted for Janine.
But
Parvati shouldn't have. See, this is again Parvati winning in that theme of
the thing is,
people having different alignments.
This was maybe the only part where I was like, this is a little too cute. Like, y'all made it to the final 4, 2-2.
This is very kumbaya,
I know you're like, Janine, let's just have all the who runs the world girls. Let's get this Luke guy out of here. But they've also been working together the whole time, like you two have. Why would she ever? Yeah, why would she do that when you're basically telling her, listen, we're gonna vote Luke, so you're safe.
Exactly.
If you want to vote to keep Luke and vote Sari, you can do that because you're not gonna go home. You're going to final tribal anyway. So I feel like they gave her the pass. I 100% think you just take your chances with Luke at that point. But I think ultimately what was very clear was they rated Luke's chances a lot higher than I think realistically it was. And once that happens, it's hard to look away from it. But then also I would make the extra argument of, well, the reality is if Janine's not with you and it's a 2-2 tie and they're going to fire and you assume Luke's going to win, well, doesn't that mean that Luke's going to be at the final tribal anyway? Like, isn't that bad? You know?
You never know, that
and you've given him
look how close it was. I mean, but I think, again, it all comes down to this misread. And I understand their misread. I mean, even given our own perspective on the episodes, like, I mean, first, we could say in retrospect now, good God, did they beat us over the head with a hammer that was Parvati's winner edit. Like,
retrospect. It was quite obvious in the moment.
But I do think that if you look at, again, like maybe the narrative of Luke being this massive underdog story who was left out of the votes, and yes, that can work against him, but it could work for the narrative. The fact that it's a tribe or it's a jury stocked with Aussies. And yes, while it was Aussie on Aussie violence, we don't know how much they would have, taken that into account. He has relationships with them that Parvati and Cirie did not. That is years baked in. So I think their logic probably made sense internally. To your point, it ended up being a massive mystery. Though I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll find out from other people eventually as to like, how much was this final tribal council up in the air? Because I do think as we get into it, any sort of arguments that Luke was trying to make was firmly shut down by Parvati within 2 minutes of her talking.
She did so well. But at the same time, you are going to the end with Parvati. And Parvati's played that game. So I think at that point, like Cirie just needs to get to the end. And the concern over Luke is so interesting because I feel like as much as the Parvati edit was beaten over the head, we were beaten over the head with it. The Luke red herring in the previous Leons, like he did that, and that has got the casuals. Now Luke is Australia's treasure, but I haven't even been on Facebook. I was just on Instagram today. Just on Instagram. And as I predicted, the casuals are very confused about why Luke lost, which is very upsetting because it's like when one of the best players of all time plays one of the best games of all time, when Luke clearly like made missteps and is over edited to extremes. And this is kind of like why this needs to happen with women. Because even then I think it's like, but Luke, and like all the stuff that Luke was pitching, kind of that like shallow flash that we criticize, they liked that. But then Parvati perfectly rebuffs that at a final tribal council in every way, saying every single thing you'd want her to say to negate that. They still don't get it. Yeah. So as much as we really like, it was clear and we think this is like one of the best games ever, the public of Australia are not doing us proud, and they don't seem to understand what happened here.
I think when you're branding the show as Australia versus the world, and then it's to broadcast it to a Australian audience, the rest of us, we find our ways to watch it. The Australians are like, we're here, we're the home team. This is the World Cup, we're hosting, we're taking this home. And Luke is, granted, I think if Luke just votes Parvati out 2 episodes ago, he very well is the winner of the season. Like that's entirely possible here. So that being said, I feel like that combined with the fact that he's had years of being like the, Australia's treasure. He literally won, what was it, Celebrity Big Brother Australia, which was a public vote, if I remember correctly.
They crowdfunded him after he lost his season and gave him essentially his own $500,000.
So, of course, they're going to love the man, like for a lot of the Australians, it seems like this is their Cirie. This is their best to never win, one of their best to never win.
Right. Yeah, but I have Cirie, and Cirie did lose, and I love Cirie, but Parvati should have won this game.
You know what I mean? You're different.
Thank you very much. That's actually very big compliment.
Even Luke's strategy was Aussie strong. Like the branding is right there. He's like, Aussie strong, vote for me. I'm the one who should win the game. So no matter what happens, he goes down swinging, saying, I just wanted to keep the Aussies together. He would even get the soundbite of him saying, oh, Janine broke the Aussies up. So like,
that was so funny.
No, it was so good.
And then Curbs got toasted, goddamn.
Yeah, the public had to root for him. I'm sorry. He was the people's champ for them.
Well, not to mention the fact that
you want, but to think that he should have won over Parvati, to be like, he made Parvati tear up she explained it to you.
I think Owen should have won 43. It doesn't mean that he should have. I just think that he should, it doesn't matter.
Well, even outside of that, like the underdog narrative is just so palpably tasty as like something to glom onto.
Yes.
Again, and I think that Luke did some very good things. He also did some very not so good things, particularly towards the beginning and end of his game. But I do think what he was able to talk about and what has been expressed so much in the edit of like his back was against the wall. He was left out of so many votes. Again, for some people, the strategy minded, it might be countered as like, okay, well, you were very much in the dark. But others might see it as, yes, but you were able to feel your way around in the dark and you made your way out there into the light. You cast your own light to dispel the darkness and you became the flashlight you wish to see in the world. And I think that that is something that I think he was hoping to bank on. And I think a lot of people banked on as well, that here is, I would say undisputedly, the most popular person to come out of this series. And now he has this underdog narrative on top of that is the chocolate sauce on top of the sundae.
Well, let's get to the final tribal council, which I thought was always very interesting. And that, like, I thought that the episode kind of got better and better getting into the fire, getting into final tribal, because I think with Luke's narrative, it was kind of inconsistent and all over the place because his game was inconsistent. Because here's the thing, underdogs fight, underdogs shoot, underdogs take the shot. You can't say I was the underdog and then I did the safe thing just to carry me here. Now you've been dragged. Like, if Luke plays the game where he does 3-1-1 Parvati out at 5, or 3-2-1s her out at 6, or 3-2-1-1. Yeah, I think that's it. Her out at 7, which were all available, by the way, all fully available. Then, yes, that's the underdog game. Like Marianne plays that type of game. We see that all the time where it's like, okay, I've not really been in it as much. I've not had the control, but then I'm going to shoot the person with control, and here I've emerged. Luke never emerged. He sat with the person who can say, I played the dominant game. I got no votes. I was in on every vote. She said it so well. And actually, while Parvati could rest on being then just maintaining power, which is so impressive, she also had the flash of like that incredible bluff more than I think Luke did. Underdog should have flash, but the thing is that Luke didn't have the big wins, but he did have losses. And then he had almost wins. He had like, oh, I really tried against Parvati that final immunity challenge, but she didn't win. And I got her to tear up the advantage. But again, she negates that so much. And also the fact that he even told her was a credit to the fact that she had bluffed the advantage. And also that she does this so well. The fact that she even had the advantage was because he sent her out of the auction, which was kind of harsh to blame him for that. But we did hate the move that he did send her out of the auction. So she's talking about it at every level. If you're going to be the underdog, you can't sit next to the overdog. You know, you have to get that win over. And I think that his game was atonal because he didn't actually have as much of that fight that you would think an underdog would have. What do you think, Chappell?
You know, when he sends Parvati home to the auction or whatever, or from the auction, she's like, Luke, don't do that. Luke, don't do that. So in the final tribal council, what she's saying, and you sent me, I tried to stop you. It was such a bad move to do that.
She called him a bonehead.
Yeah, she's like, you bonehead. Like, I'm begging you, like, Luke, whatever you do not give me this advantage you're about to give me, which is not what was going on. But I love the way she flipped it to make it seem like you have been bumbling through this whole time, and I've just been reaping the benefits of your stupidity. And then on top of all of that, you unprovoked came to me and told me about your idol, even though you knew I could steal it. Like, you gave me the control over your game. And those are like, that's the death knell. You gave me control over you. That means you're not the underdog that is fighting for a position. That means you have handed over your agency and said, do whatever you want to it. And so, yeah, I definitely could see like how this was just such an uphill battle for him. I mean, Parvati was not missing on any points.
It's funny when you think of it that way. The fact that Luke banishes her from the auction, giving her the steal an idol advantage, which then she uses to have Luke end up confessing his idol that he told nobody until that point. And then she's able to have this power play. Like, he literally gifted her best move of the season, the bluff with Cass over there at that vote. And then this tear up that he thought he ate with, that she had a retort for already, meaning he thought his best move was that moment, and she took that out. She neutralized that completely. It all goes back to that auction. That is wild to think about when you look at it that way.
This is why you should bring the auction back every season. But yeah, I mean,
yes.
and that's what's also interesting as well, is that when you look back at like the previous Leons, for example, it was very Luke coded of like, Luke duped Parvati into ripping up this. No, and like maybe that was the case, but they kind of choose to omit the fact of like, and that was to make up for the fact that Luke told Parvati he had an idol and then immediately regretted it and said, I don't know, rip up your paper.
Yeah, he told her about the idol because he thought she could steal it after the votes. And I still, to this day, something I want to ask Luke is like, again, when he read the parchment that was ripped up, was he getting, you can play this, nothing, because it's split up, votes cast? You know, like, did he know at any point? Did he lose the before or the after of votes cast? But I think what Luke needed to lean on, and what I really think Janine needed to lean on, was what you failed at, Parvati, if this can be a fail. And let's amp it up, because here's what I think Luke should have said on this at least, and here's what I think Janine's pitch should have been, is you wanted to get here with Suri? Where is Suri? On the jury. Because you ripped it up, then you couldn't save you and Suri to get to a better final four, even though I think that if Shawnee's there, it's still 2-2. She didn't want to go to the end with them. But you can make it that narrative. we got ourselves to a Final Four where I could win fire. I made good on that. I made fire in front of the jury. Now I'm sitting here with Janine. Now, I don't think that that's really a big win because I think this is still Parvati's best path. I think it's better to have Cirie on the jury and not be sitting next to her. And Parvati's still going to get to a final challenge. She's definitely going to win, and she's going to get to this point. But you can then amp it up. You can't say you don't care that Cirie's not here. You just cried about it. And even more so for Janine. Here is the pitch for Janine. Firstly, obviously, like anything about flawless game and loyalty, much like Sean, who I think Janine is actually friends with, that just allows you to be tripped up. You've set the criteria for people to trip you up on. Definitely don't do that. I think that Janine's pitch needed to rely on two specific things. One, I puppeteered Luke. So, and we did see a lot of that. And we actually saw both ways. But, you know, I was telling Luke, like, he was my shield. He was like the big brash person, but I was making these connections and telling him what to do. I don't think that's a winning pitch, but I think maybe she gets one over on Luke the way that like Eva kind of flipped that with Joe in 48 about like who's the alpha of that pair to at least like maybe come second. And then I also think the major thing that Janine needs to say is, Parvati and Cirie, you really thought I was going with you, but I led you like lambs to slaughter to a 4 where I knew my 2 would get through. And Luke and I got here together. Parvati, you didn't get that. It's the only loss you actually technically had in the season.
I would laugh in your face. I would laugh in your face, Shannon. Because
I got it and you didn't.
No, here's the thing. You're like, oh, you didn't get your number 2 here. It's like, but yeah, I played the most impressive number 1 game, so I don't really need it. It's like,
I don't think it's a winning pitch.
It's like telling somebody, well, you really had the goal of going to the Survivor Spa and you didn't get to go there. And that was your one thing that you wanted. It's like, well, I'm in the final 3. It's like, oh, well, but you didn't get the auction. It's like, okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Yes, but it's something Parvati wanted that she didn't get. It's Janine telling, like, they believe Janine. They seem to really believe Janine would vote for them, and she was never going to vote with them. If anything, she played it. She talked about it badly because she said she was conflicted. She should have said, I was never going with them, but I took them here knowing my 2 would win out, and I got what I wanted. Do I think it's a winning pitch? No. I don't think there's any winning pitch against Parvati's game. I just think that's better than a flawless game, than a loyal game. I don't think it's that, but I think it's a win over Parvati, over something Parvati wanted that she didn't get because she believed, to be fair, she did believe Janine would vote Luke out with them at the final 3, and Janine wasn't going to do that. And the final 4 worked better for their pair, not for and it was bad for Cirie, not for Parvati, but their pair got through to that point. There's at least a win there over Parvati that they cannot say in any other way through the game. But I'm sorry that you hated that so much. Anyone else? Anything that Janine could have said?
I mean,
okay. Wow, what an audience.
What I will say is with her omitting statement, like, obviously her saying her game was flawless, fairly cringy, especially, you know, when she is met with a pretty big receipt drop from Sarah. But I actually, again, I can understand the logic because, and I don't know if we've clocked this in a previous episode, but I found it very interesting that when JLP was like introducing the challenge, introducing the final tribal council, he says, the winner will be crowned the greatest of all time. I cannot remember if that criteria was said in any previous episode. And I feel like when it's a winner versus that illustrious title, you have to kind of change the narrative for yourself to be like, okay, this is why I'm deserving of that title, apparently, rather than just the one of Sole Survivor. It's why Luke says that he's the world's greatest Survivor player. And I think it's why Janine says, to her fault, that she has no faults. But I think that was absolutely a recipe for disaster. Also considering that, again, it's all about reading sort of like the temperament of the jury and what you sort of feel like the theme of what they value in gameplay is. Now, each and every person is different. It's one of my favorite things about the Final Tribal Council format. But, I mean, when you have Cirie putting forward the BS narrative to last episode of like, well, we should all be showing the world that honesty and loyalty win out, and Sarah's rolling her eyes, you should necessarily lead with that as your bedrock, right? Of like, but I was loyal. Don't we all like that at the end of the day, Survivor players?
It's a very hard case to make when your point is, I was loyal to this person, but then you weren't loyal to like 3 people that are sitting there watching you. You know, it's like that's not what you think it is. That's not the slay you think it is at all. So to me, the reality is, you know, we've talked about doing this in the off season, Shannon, where we all come in and everyone's got to make a case for a losing finalist and why they should have won and like plead their case. Yeah. Put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, we should definitely do that. Right now, I would need time. Because I think for Janine's, it'd be a very uphill battle The 2 people, the 3 people, the 4 people, the 5 people you could have been sitting at from like busy final 6. I don't see you winning against. So I don't know what your case is. Like, I just don't see it. I think her biggest moment was this rift she put between Kirby and Sarah. But the worst part is she doesn't want to claim it as something she's done that way.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, it wasn't what you think it is. Like, no. Tell them it's exactly what they think it is. And you had to do it to get here because you and Luke were on the outs. Like, why wouldn't you say that? Make that push.
Yes, exactly. That's what you say to the Sarah question. The Sarah question is, why then? Okay, because David went home. We haven't just been fighting from underdogs when the Australia tie broke up at the merge. We've been on the back foot since David went home. And actually what happened, see, there's something here for real, because actually what happened was we were on the bottom and we flipped to the top. Sarah came to us and then we put Kirby against Sarah. And had we gone to another pre-merge tribal council, even with Sarah immune, Shawnee was going and Sarah was definitely going. And we actually had all the options at that point. We went from the bottom to the top after David went home. Yes, then it got to the point where it was trickier at the merge because of the fact that we had to fight from that point, and we still made our way back from that point. I took out Kirby. That's the biggest, huge vote as well. She can really talk about the great work that she did there, and then talk about leading Suri and Parvati to at least not getting there as a pair and getting to that point, having been the underdog and being the underdog queen that Luke wants to be, the underdog king. And I think there's something there, but I don't know why it wasn't about, okay, well, it made sense pre-merge when I didn't want you and Kirby to have all the control in this pre-merge tribe. I think there was something there for Janine for real, but instead, I feel like she couldn't really answer that. Does anyone else have anything she could have said there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, it's tough because in Final Tribal Councils, one of the cardinal rules is like, don't really talk about the pre-jury narrative. But I think
that was 10 days ago.
Exactly.
It was a week ago.
Because the pre-merge was so short. Literally. And the vast majority of the jury was there. And it directly led into the outcome at the merge. I think it does make a lot of sense. And again, that's the narrative that she should have gone with. It should have been the underdog narrative / I guess I would say the top dog of the underdogs of like, look at what Luke is trying to claim. I had him on a leash the entire time. He was reined in terms of his gameplay, and I reined him in as well. Look what I was able to get done without him. But she instead, again, chose to go with, and maybe it's the godmother thing as well, right? Doesn't she say in confessional, like, I can slit throats, but I'm always loyal to the family? Like, I don't know. I guess when Harry bestowed that moniker upon her 5-6 years ago, maybe he created a monster in retrospect that now she is like carrying forward into her second game, feeling like she has to embody in so many ways.
I'm sure Harry, wherever he may be, would enjoy that part of their rivalry. I thought that she was going to say that she's the godmother because she'd taken people out, but she'd also granted wishes like she did for Luke. So I really thought that that's where that confessional was going. Yeah, I think that there was more that, I mean, Sarah's asking about something that happened in the pre-merge. Like, she's having that conversation with Luke in the pre-merge, so you have to talk about it at that point. Also, can we talk about this? The best thing that Luke did in the whole Final Tribal Council was letting Janine take that bullet when we saw him tell Janine to break them up, and he was like, oh, Curbs got toasted, goddamn. And actually, he had done that, so I think that was really good. But I do think there were ways for Janine to put herself above Luke, you know, like, we feel like Luke had all the flash, he'd had all the bravado, but Janine actually had the receipts. You know, again, she had told Luke to do a lot of the stuff. She had controlled a lot of it. She had done the Kirby vote that Luke actually wasn't even a part of. Like, Luke is completely left out of that vote, and that's a massive vote. I think she could have separated herself, but at the end of the day, I don't like seeing any negativity towards Sarah for voting for Luke, someone she's been friends with for years. She's entitled to, the same way like Jerry.
Let the jurors vote how they want to vote.
In some ways. I mean, certainly for their long-term friends, for sure.
You know, especially if someone who played with this person a decade ago. Like, again, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, Parvati playing a perfect game would be incredible. The ink on the check is still dry, whether or not she got 6 or 7 votes.
And maybe this is just me. I feel like unless Parv got like a barely 4-3 win here, then I'd be like, what were y'all doing? This was the perfect game. This is still like a big, like, I don't think it changes the legacy of the win, 1 or 2 votes.
No.
And like, again, you're talking about, this is like, for example, this is like if me and Chappell went on a show and we've known each other for like, 15 years, and he's at the very end and like, he's against,
don't say me. Don't say mine.
No. It never was going to
vote for us too. You'd vote for
Okay, the only person I would vote for in that scenario over Chappell is Suri, because I'm like, finally, Suri's here. Let's get Suri the crown.
Why just
Everyone
Chappell,
else, I'm like,
though?
Chappell's
Why
my
not use all
dog.
of us as examples?
I know he might not win. Let me give him the nod. Let me tip my cap to him. That's my guy. You know?
Yeah, because he's not winning. But Mike and I are already winning, so that's why you don't need to add. Is that what it is? Yeah, because you could say that for any of us. If I'm in a game and I don't know the other people and any of you are there, it's not just Mike. Like, I will vote for any of you.
Yeah,
but did you play the best game, Shannon? That's my criteria for the end. If you're
for me, but not for Chappell.
Because I'm a social player. You're a strategic person. I just got to get there on vibes. I'm shiny.
Chappell don't mind if I give him charity, but I feel like you care about the merits and the foundation and the things of the game, the main things, and I would respect that in you.
I don't like when people get 0 votes. I always want people to get more votes. Like, I hate this whole that she has to play a perfect game. Like, who is that important to except the most insufferable people? Right? Yeah. Like, at the end of, and I'm usually insufferable. I'm just saying that I like when I don't like when people get 0 votes. Like, I would have liked Janine to get a vote, but I actually don't see where that vote would have been coming from. So
yeah, I have a question, Shannon, about Janine. I know you've made a good case for a case that she could possibly make.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, not a good case for her, but a case that she could use. Right. But I think that, like, what was the perception of her going in? If she's like, we're coming at this as if what she says matters. But what was her perception when she came through the door? Was it this Janine, the scrappy underdog? Is she the godmother? Like, what do you think the other people saw her as, that she could come in and be like, I mean, to have anything over Luke and Parvati at that point, it'd be really tough.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, is she's coming in as the godmother, but she wasn't really the godmother in the season. She didn't control it. Parvati was the godmother in the season, let's be quite honest. So I think that Luke knew to talk about his underdog game, but that underdog game was shallow and it hadn't achieved the things we wanted. Janine didn't even know to talk about an underdog game, which actually could have gone a bit further in the thing she did with, like, the Kirby vote and the thing she did with getting one over, heavy quotes, on Parvati and Suri to get to that point. But she didn't know to tell that story. And such a massive part of Final Tribal Council is knowing how you're perceived, knowing what the story should be, and then leaning into it with stats to back it up. But I do think we see, as we often see, it's not just that you're running down and uphill because you have different juries to speak to who are more open to your game. If you've played a better game, if you've been more social, if you're sitting next to someone who's been better, like, it's a much harder case. But also, it's just a much harder game to defend. That's why this is the best I can give for Janine, okay? But for Parvati, I mean, she does it perfectly, but she's sprinting downhill. Like, her game speaks for itself and she speaks to it well. So I do think this is why I don't recommend going in with someone who's going to slaughter you and hoping for the best at a Final Tribal Council.
Can I also ask, do you glean, Shannon, from the exit interviews you've done so far, and maybe the interviews you'll go, but I mean, of the ones you've done of the jury as well,
right. But
as to, like, what were the internationals' relationships with the Aussies? Because I think something that also really benefited Parvati, I mean, you and I did a lot of these jury scenario run-throughs last episode that we did, and the fact of the matter is Parvati obviously had these tight relationships with people from the World Tribe that, again, I didn't think were necessarily going to begrudge her for being like, oh my God, you got rid of us, when, again, the evidence she had was like, well, I heard you were coming for me, which was true in that moment. And then also, we know that she had obviously bonded very closely with Kirby and Sarah. Did we get the sense that there was the similar type of thing with Luke and Janine? Were any of these world players talking about bonding with them as quickly as, Kirby and Shawnee did with Parvati in the Merch Tribe?
No, I mean, definitely not. I think that, as they said, there was that, like, disconnect between the Australians and the World Tribes. And, like, Luke is like, to be fair, I tried. But there wasn't that knowledge of them. There isn't, like, the reverence that we've had for these players and the aura for some of the best social players of all time, and people like Suri and with Parvati. And I actually think that Luke focused too much on that. Like, we didn't actually get to see, like, Tommy asked him, like, well, you saying Australia's strong. You, Luke, are the only patriotic person here, seemingly. You and your fans are the only Aussie strong people. Maybe that speaks to some sort of base. I don't know.
How does that make me feel?
Yeah. But yeah, then shouldn't I vote for World? Firstly, I would have been like, well, Parvati's not from Finland, Tommy. But
no, that's a good question. I like the question. You didn't like it?
It was a great question. It was a great question. We didn't really see Luke answer it. Luke is like, I try to work with you. And, like, I don't think Tommy really cares. He's like, I get what happened. Like, it's fine. Like, you screwed up there. Like, but I think Luke has spent so much time justifying why he didn't work with the Worlds. And I don't know that really matters to Tommy. Like, I think that they all kind of get it.
I think all the questions were good, though. Weren't the questions so cool? I thought
a lot were good. Yeah,
a lot were good. Yeah,
I thought the Tommy question was dope. Like, you can't do a whole, like, Aussie this, Aussie that, Aussie this, Aussie that. When because you know if he was on the jury and you're sitting there fighting a losing battle, because you could play the best game in the world, but if he's so Aussie strong, it doesn't matter. You're gonna just vote along tribal lines or whatever. Kind of like Sarah always voting for Luke. Like it's fine that she's going to do that. That's her prerogative. But for me, as a person who wants your vote, damn, ain't nothing I can do except move to Australia to get your vote. That's crazy. So no, I'm with Tommy. I thought it was a dope question, Kat, and of course Cass's question too. Amazing.
I mean, I love that. That's always so tough to hold their feet to the fire of like, yeah, talk openly about what votes you have. It really is sort of a lose-lose situation in that, like, you've got to be portrayed as, oh, you're so cocky that you think you have us in the bag versus, oh, you're so misguided that you think we have it. But again, Parvati was, I think, very much able to play it coy, to not seem as like, again, she was able to use that giggle that has gotten her through a decade and a half of playing on reality television to be like, I'm just being silly about this. I don't know. You kind of just pressed me for this. I agree that by and large, a lot of these questions were good.
What questions were bad, Mike?
Yeah, I love Lisa. so dearly. And I love that she loves Survivor. I will still say she is our audience analog. It was incredible to watch her on the show. Loved how meta she was by calling out her, editing her own montage. This is the biggest softball of all softball questions I've seen in quite some time. I love Survivor. What do you love about Survivor?
No, because she's trying to show that it doesn't matter to Luke as much as it matters to her. But the thing is that is unfair, because it doesn't matter to Parvati as much as it matters to Lisa. It doesn't matter to any of these people. We talked about this pre-season. These people would, if they weren't on it, would they be watching the show? Highly debatable. You know, Parvati, like, it means the same to Luke and Janine and Parvati as each other, which is, I play it like I'm Janine freaking Alice and I'm still here twice. You're welcome. You know, I'm Luke and I've spent how many days away from my wife and kids living and breathing this game. Now, he could have done a lot better than Krabs. I really do believe that. Like, what he should have said was what I think is legitimate. Like, people don't have to be a super fan to care a lot about this game. Luke has lived and breathed this game. And the one good thing that he did say is he thrives out there. And I think that harks back to a really beautiful sequence he has in his boot episode of 2017 about how, like, he's meant to be out here. This is where he feels like, yeah, he's meant to be. And I think that that's the answer. It's like, why do I love this game? I've played it 3 times in 7 years. I've left difficult family circumstances to do that. It has been my life. I've done 2 seasons of Talking Tribal. I was on Big Brother. I was on The Traitors. Like, you've welcomed me into this world. Sure, I didn't know who anyone was, and I watched Tony clips before I played the first time. And now I'm here, and can I give you the stats? And do I remember that I watched your season of New Zealand and was on the penultimate RHAP recap? I do not. But I love this game, and I lived this game. For almost a decade, I have breathed this game. That's Luke's answer to that question. It was a softball, but he can do a lot better than Krabs, I think. But she's trying to trip him up because she thinks it doesn't matter to him, but it does.
What's the question? Did you like the answer?
Krabs. I like Krabs. I was like, good Luke.
I was confused.
Krabs.
I was confused because I thought she wasn't talking about Survivor. I thought she was like, give me something you love as much as I love Survivor. To be like, my kids. I don't know. Footy.
Krabs.
Yeah.
Krabs. I'm a crab aficionado out of the game.
This is the thing, though, because, you know, you mentioned that, well, some of these people probably just play it. They don't watch it. I understand that, though. You know, once you live it, that's like you were there.
Yeah.
Like, you've done the thing, especially with all of them. They've done the thing at a top level and they've made it like they've become household names on a top level. Like, I can't blame them if they're like, all right, I'm looking for something new, something different that isn't this still. I get that. And maybe this is more just me. I'm a lot less precious about, like, you need to live, breathe this game, be a proper fan of this game. I'm like, if you enjoy the show, you enjoy the show to whatever degree you're watching it. I might not agree with your takes, but that's fine. Like, I'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is that all 3 of those people have dedicated a significant portion of their lives to reality television.
I did like the question. Point. Look,
yeah,
I feel like
defend it.
I like the question because to me, I really feel like it does matter to me. It does matter to me if you care about the show, especially if it's like something momentous like a Survivor 50 or AU versus the world. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not going to sway my vote. But I definitely want to hear you talk about what is it that's so great about this? Is it just that you got on TV and people really liked you and you love fame? Or, you know, is there something about the experience that sticks out to you? What is it about meeting the people? Is it about the gameplay? You know, about the Krabs? If you like to be out in the wilderness and that's your thing, then
no Krabs. Never answer Krabs, okay? That's my professional advice. Never Krabs.
But Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good advice. But, I do want to see that you have a passion for the thing that you're doing, because there are people who would take this and they would love it, even more. It would mean so much to them. Like we were just talking about it. For Luke and Sari, it was like, I need to get to the end. I just can't do that. I just need to get to the end. And that means so much. If you ask him, Luke, why do you have to get to the end so bad? He could probably tell you, like, all these years I've been trying to get to the end, and it's always been a thing that haunted me, blah, blah, blah. He gets to the end, and you say, what did you love about this experience? And you're like, crabs. So I would just love to hear you talk about, what it is you like about the game. That's all.
It was an unfair question. It was a fine question because if you want to know that someone is passionate, that's a value that you can care about. You know what I mean? Like you can care about the same way you can care about intelligence and strategy and kindness. Like you can care about passion and investment, sure. But it was just unfair because it was mischaracterizing Luke. Like he doesn't care about the show the same way that you do, but he cares. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. Like he wouldn't have done this 3 times. He wouldn't keep doing reality TV. Yes. And maybe he does love the sound of people clapping, but I don't think that's it for Luke. And I think Janine doesn't need to be there. And I think Parvati has dedicated lives of, decades of her life to this game. And they don't need to know what happened in the penultimate episode of Survivor New Zealand Thailand. But you think that they would if they did the recap, but it's fine if they don't, because they just love it in a different way. And that investment, I think, is also valid.
They all pulled up because this was the winner of AU versus the world. This is the international stage. Yeah. And they wanted the title. I mean, the money is... 250? Was it 250K?
250 AU. Yeah. So Pav won less than Sari did in the traders, and these are things that I think.
I think she got like 160 something.
Yeah, 150.
Yeah,
that's kind of high. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a little more than what she got for runner-up of Heroes versus Villains.
This is love of the game. This is love of the game for sure.
They did it for ball. Yeah.
Okay, 150K for US. For 2 weeks is actually great. Like I'm not gonna, but but for sure they're not like, even Janine was like, it's not about the money, right? Let's not think about how much money I have. Let's just get that out of the way. And that was probably good to start it on that point. We've not really talked that much about Pav in this final tribal council. I feel like she was saying the podcast we've been doing, which was great. No notes for me. I mean, I love the way that she answered that Cass question, saying I would vote for you, Cass, because we were each other's kind of rivals and that competition. She has the bankable votes in like Elisa, in a Sari, and then she goes to Kirby. And the way she answered Kirby's question was perfect. I was so glad we didn't go back to but you vote out your number one nonsense, which was what the edit gave us. She told us the truth. She did not have the power to save Kirby at that point. And if she could have, she would have. And she was sad about it. Great. Like Kirby shouldn't be upset at Parvati. It wasn't Parvati's fault.
That's the thing, is that, again, when we look back at these tribal councils, all the time we just saw this with Kaylin in Brains versus Brawn, right? Somebody coming in and trying to outkick their coverage and being like, you don't realize the role I actually played. I'm responsible for all of this. And again, Parvati wasn't saying I was in control of every vote. She did a really nice job of stringing together this one particular soundbite of like, I either knew the plan or I was in control of the plan. And I think she also knew that, again, I do think Kirby was still going to vote for her no matter what, but she knew that Kirby was personally hurt. I mean, Kirby makes the umpteenth metaphor about this to a romantic relationship. Only 2 degrees away from going full Natalie Bolton at this final tribal council.
I needed it.
It's so close. But Parvati was able to...
Never crabs!
Parvati was able to thread the needle here and be like, listen, I know you're upset, and I'm not going to say I was in charge of this, And I think that for sometimes, depending on the person you're talking to and the way you're perceived, this answer would not work of like, listen, I was just, I was as much of a victim as you were. I was just sort of a bystander here. I had to go with the flow. But because she knew the way that Kirby felt, and again, the narrative that she was putting forward was, I was always told about the plan. And she even was able to, again, dangle this carrot a little bit. She didn't stand on her beliefs of like, I could have played the idol on you, but she at least said like, I was weighing my options, which is to, again, substantiate her point of I had options when other people, specifically the 2 sitting next to me, did not.
Yeah, and the
I can see why that's
all
difficult.
True and fair, because at the end of the day, I mean, her game allows her to do this because it's such a good game to talk about, but she doesn't over talk about it. When Tommy asks her stuff, she's not like, no, I did want to work with you. She can be fair to Tommy. She doesn't say, I knew you were coming for me internationals, which actually would have been wrong. They didn't end up coming for her. Cass and Lisa weren't coming for her, and they weren't voting her out at that final 8. She says, and you didn't want to sit next to me, and it was coming at a point. Not untrue. Everything she said was accurate because she gave herself that space in all of those times to talk about those things, which I thought was so good. You were saying Chappell as well.
I don't remember.
Oh, you know.
I literally don't.
Parvati's brilliant. Parvati at Final Tribal Council is brilliant.
I mean, she's amazing. She's great. No, all that good stuff. Like, I don't remember what my thought was. But,
I will say there's only one point against it, which is, and again, it works so well. It works so well as a narrative, but especially now that she has her second win, the whole rewriting history thing, I think we should leave behind with when the hourglass was smashed. Again, I think it works well for her, considering that she is in Samoa and she was able to, tell us to the cameras, tell this to an audience. But, I hope we can maybe put this 15-year argument to bed of like, all right, now that everyone's
the argument's been recreated now. The argument's actually less to bed now. The argument's actually now like that, which is bad. I mean, to be fair, I just did the X interview with Parvati. Can you imagine? And for her, it was like a very personal loss. Like she took that hard for herself. She's allowed to have that internal struggle of something that she didn't achieve 15 years ago. We as fans should accept that two queens have won 2 times, and we understand why those wins happened. And some people think Luke should have won here, and those are a different type of fan. But I think that this is only that is the worst part, is that the argument, like, actually this should put to bed and we should all be fine and happy, but actually now the arguments will restart, which is so unfortunate.
I guess that's true now, right? Because I think the thing that people banked on was like, well, Sandra won twice and Parvati won once, and now that they've won twice and they're both in that metric, now it's a lot of this game of inches of like, okay, but Parvati did this better and Sandra did this better. So I mean, the good news is that the two of them at the moment are on the same page. I guess the better question is, as you mentioned, is the bridge going to be burned once again like it was 15 years ago? And then we have to have another traitor season where they're back on together and Peppermint brings them together once more.
No more traitors. No offense, Pooya. No more of deciding this on the traitors, though I am very glad that I have seen Saree win a reality TV competition.
No offense taken. No offense taken. Shannon, I don't want to be the first one on the panel to congratulate you on being the 4th person in this call to interview Parvati Shallow. It's been a long time coming.
Damn, she played all our shows, but I think she liked me best. We can ask
you say so.
Ask her to rank like Lisa.
Never answer. Text Parvati and ask her to rank us.
She was like, no, I'm not doing that. Parvati will do it. She'll be like, firstly, I don't remember any of those other guys, and I just spoke to you, so I will.
Oh, so recency bias would be your friend, is what you're saying.
Whatever it takes. Hey, you think like beggars can't be choosers? I'm very, very fine with that. I guess like not a lot more on Parvati's Final Tribal Council. Note perfect. The bluff stuff was great. The bluff is such a great move, and she spoke about it so well. And yet some people still don't understand it. So that was great.
It was one of those classic, like, again, we've gotten this a few times, Marianne, Kyle, etc. But the whole like 11th hour reveal of, hey, I only read to 67% of what this was. Like, it's great for the reaction. Again, I'd be intrigued to see how much it actually moved the needle, how prepared the jurors were to vote for Parvati no matter what. But it did, in the opening statements, pretty much demolish either other person's chance of, maybe making a couple of vote dent into her total. But like, from my perspective, at least, she had it done and dusted once she ended up dropping that bomb.
Yeah. She's so aware of the game that she played. And I think that's what her biggest strength is that we see so many people get to Final Tribal Council and we're like, why didn't they say this? Why didn't they show this? Why didn't they do, And I think Parvati saw the cool shit she was doing the same way we did. She's like, this is the best game I've ever played. I was like, yeah, I just said that a couple episodes ago. I'm glad you know that. I'm glad you know that you're like eating right now. Like this is some like next level stuff.
Sexy.
Like she should. It's the sexy move. She should have said, I made the sexy move. And I would have been like, bet. I knew it. But I think knowing the narrative is really where she kind of goes. Like she's able to identify that I was the best. Now y'all gotta beat me. And it wasn't like I was the best. I didn't know it. And so now I'm trying to cover it up with like loyalty talk and you betrayed me, so I betrayed you. We see that so many times. But I think for her to just be like, no, this was the best that could be done. And there's nothing you could do about it. Now explain to me why you missed me, why you did not get me the one winner left at this point. Like sitting next to a winner at the Final Tribal Council is crazy just in general. Like as a macro perspective, I think we would all advise against it just because they have that winner, like kind of glow, and they still did it because they couldn't get rid of her. So, her being at the in the challenge and just be like, this is my challenge to win. Like it was just straight face, stone cold killer. I'm not sweating, Jonathan. I'm actually going to win this challenge. It's mine. Thank you. This is my immunity. Like she was so sure of herself. And she knew exactly how to make sure that everybody else was aware that she just didn't stumble her way into this fight. She did on purpose,
Can I also say, I felt awful for Luke in that challenge. Like that looked visceral when he fell to his knees and just rolled over.
I thought he got injured.
And poor Janine's like, "Congrats, Parvati. All right, I guess I should see to this guy as well." Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is like, would they really have voted for Suri if like Janine is immune? Do they think that that's the better fire shot? And if so, how is that possible? Because even if like they might lose to Suri, I really feel like Luke is trying to get specifically votes that Parvati is going to get and not Suri. Like Suri's getting like the internationals, but I feel like Parvati is like a Kirby vote, a Shawnee vote. Like those are votes that Luke is trying to get. And still, I think that their game kind of speaks for itself on what happened here. I feel like Janine kind of didn't get respect early in a way that was maybe gendered, and maybe we kind of see that, which is bizarre because literally I have a Boost juice in my fridge right now. Like that is Janine freaking Ellis. And I do feel like sometimes that perception is created where it's like she's just getting less respect, and then she not that she did enough to like in her pitch or in her, maybe even in her game, like to get past that. But I do kind of feel like they decided like you're the GOAT in a way that was weird with Janine early. I don't know if that's just my perception, but even the way like George was talking about, like, and George is different, but I kind of got that sense maybe a little bit.
I don't remember exactly what Parv said to describe the two of them, but when she was like, "I'm sitting here next to Australia's treasure and a boss ass CEO who's doing her thing," I was like, true, but this says nothing about her as a Survivor player. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was. I feel like she was getting her flowers for her acumen outside the game, but her like abilities in the game were always in the shadow, like barely recognized. I feel like.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Because like, is it that Luke and Janine are both GOATs, but Luke has the added benefit of he has the idol and he could win one of those final challenges, right? Like they're like, if Luke is in the final three, it's because he beat us at something. Like, and so that automatically raises his threat level in a way they like. If Janine is in the final three, it means she beat us at something, but that's highly unlikely. She's not going to beat me in endurance. She's probably not going to beat me in fire. Like I'll be okay. But for Luke to have done it, something has had to bounce. Like a ball has had to bounce in his court. You know what I'm saying? Something has had to go in his direction for him to be like, okay. And he was able to capitalize on that and get himself to the end. It was never going to be straightforward for Luke to get to the end. Whereas with Janine, it's like she could probably get to the end, but I mean, if she did, it's not her own doing. It's like for Luke, we have to stop him from winning immunity because we're going to vote him out because he could at least have immunity or fire over us. They're not worried about Janine winning immunity or fire over them. It's just not. And maybe she's great at fire, but we see she's not great at endurance, like in a way the same like a Parvati would be, I guess.
Yeah, no one's Parvati. Janine has won endurance and immunity challenges before in a way that's actually usually better than Luke. And now that doesn't speak well to the fact that he does outlast her and gives it everything in that final challenge. But I just don't know why. And I do think some of it might be like demographic in terms of like, we can just take Janine to the end and beat her. It's like, who decided that? That's Janine. Yeah. That's so rude. Like, but Luke, no. But you know what I mean? And not even Luke, no. But Luke is this huge threat. And Suri in her final words, even in confessional, it's not just that they're trying to amp up this reality. Although I do think you start amping it up and then you start believing it. But like Luke is a real threat. Well, they played a very similar game. But if anything, Janine has the extra Kirby move. And you know, Janine's done like this other stuff, but Janine is like the person everyone wants to sit next to, and we've all decided that's Janine. But Luke is a real tangible threat to win just because he's been louder about it, just because he's the like likable young guy, and that is Survivor. But I do think that's a large part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you have this move in the previous episode where Luke stands up at Tribal Council. Again, we talked about this before, Shannon, goes up to Janine and is like, it's nothing. Exactly. Also considering, again, very much in retrospect, especially the move that he should have made, that I'm hopeful you'll be able to get an answer with him and Janine on in your interviews. But again, we talked about this all the time back with like the Rick Devens days, right? About like sometimes it's just about the panache you do at Tribal Council. And in that moment, he was claiming a narrative of look what I am doing. Look at me getting Janine through to the final four. And he talked about it in his final Tribal Council. And then she repaid me in kind. You know, he says it in his confessional, I think, that like he signed a contract with her, right? He got into business with Boost Juice, and then that investment pays off 14 days later.
Is it just me, or does that just sound like, oh, the one person you should have had was still like a wishy-washy maybe you had to make a deal at the final five? Like, I feel like that should have been a slam dunk pick. Like, that is not a good argument if it's like, yeah, well, we're against these two, and I still at the 12th hour had to make sure that Janine was with me at the final four is tough. I feel like that's not a good that's not as good as he may have thought it was, to be like, and she paid my debt. She brought me in here. Like, because it also made it like, yeah, I was dead to rights if not for Janine. So like, it's not like it. I don't know. You know, it's like not like, yeah.
Yeah, you can look at that either way. I mean, at the end of the day, if she's taken him there to her detriment, then he can claim that. If she wants to say that she's not scared of him and she dragged him there, then she can claim that. And that's really like a perception thing. I think what he did well was he talked about it at the George vote, voting for Shaunie on the fly and the trust that created early on. It would maybe give a little bit more weight if they weren't allies in 2019 and have always had a really lovely relationship. And I'm sure she like knows his family well and all of that. So I think maybe that takes away. But I think Luke was doing some good stuff around like story and when I first auditioned and, you know, he has a bit of the humor, but I kind of feel like there wasn't more than that. But there wasn't a lot more to speak to because the game was inconsistent. But I think even on that, never crabs though. But like, I still think that there might have been, that was hard.
ANC always never crabs.
We saw some mistakes throughout the season, but the gameplay was very high level. I think it goes to show you when people are sitting at tribal council and they're like, why did you vote me out? Well, because you didn't take me to the spa. It's like, oh, yeah, you left us. It's like,
that came up way too much. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the only reward challenge they did. So I think it like, and also it happened 3 days ago.
Yeah, it's like, you didn't take me to the spa. So, you know, how was we supposed to know we were going to work with you? It's like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. You know, like, I just feel like you like in a regular season of Survivor, you get such like bigger, more egregious mistakes, more like blatantly obvious things that you shouldn't do and like social errors that you make and where people shouldn't trust you. And here, you got some of the best playing. They're like, looking for a reason to be like, yeah, I think Sarah threw out your name one time, kind of. She's like, did she say you want to vote me out? Not really, but I'll take it. You know, like it was the best I could do. You know, they were making those like moves out of nothing. And so to sit at the final tribal council and have to combat that, where people weren't making the huge errors and the huge mistakes, like even the Parvati thing, you know, with Cass, they didn't turn on Parvati. They weren't about to come after her. You know, it was like she beat them to the punch, but it wasn't this mistake that they made that led them to the slaughter. You know, so I really enjoyed the fact that this season put all these players in these tough situations where they had to kind of rationalize their moves and know why they did it and know how they were perceived at the same time. And maybe it's just because the season's too short. I don't know.
Well, I also will say, kind of weird that Luke also gave that spa-based answer to Tommy's question of like, well, when you didn't pick me for the war, it's like, is he Cass's keeper? Like Cass made the choice. Yes,
right.
Sort of, by association, he was the Keith Nail on the spa trip, but it's not like he was assumingly whispering in Cass's ear, "Hey, pick these specific people."
We are all legends of our franchises. We talking about a spa reward?
Yeah,
the spa reward and the big AU versus the world. Come on.
Yeah, stop playing with me, man. I like Tommy's questions. I think Tommy was a standout at Final Tribal Council.
It was great. I love how he pushed back on Pav. He was like, yeah, that's
he needed
the world. What about me?
Yeah. He's like, when were you going to work with Tommy? But, you know, Tommy and Cass both, you know, playing this game in a second language, but also having the standout jury questions in the second language is kind of dope, you know? I loved it.
I got to say, lower expectations are the key to happiness. And I was so incredibly impressed with the two of them. I mean, I think, unfortunately, as you all have spoken about so eloquently, like there's so many further barriers they had to go through that would make things like the bluff really tough. But the fact that they were able to do what they did going through this finale with everything that they came in with, if we do an AU versus the world too, and we can certainly talk about, you know, whether we would want or probably, or, you know, where we would actually see that down the line. I think this is a great example of like, yeah, it doesn't need to just be US versus AU. You know, let's include more people, because with the exception of you, Shannon, and the devotees to Survivor Quebec and Survivor Finland, like nobody knew who either one of these people were. And I think a lot of people fell in love with both of them for very different reasons over the season.
Speaking of Survivor Finland, I also felt what was interesting is like Luke's pitching kind of to Tommy that he played the underdog game. I'm like, but had you seen Survivor Finland, Luke, much like you did watch Survivor New Zealand, Thailand, you would know Tommy was up against the person who kind of won for being the underdog, who'd had that transformation. Tommy was the one who maintained. I kind of think that's the game he would respect. And I loved ending on Tommy's voting confessional, which was something like, with the level you played at, with that target on your back makes you the greatest of all time. In a different language, couldn't have said it better. Was such a good way to finish that was the last thing we heard from the jurors' votes. I also loved Kirby and Sarah teaming up. We knew they went to Jury Villa back to back as the queen and the princess. the princess again of Jury Villa after all the beef. Their arc is one of my favorite arcs ever. And it's like, what happened with that? We did not get Jury Villa videos. Like, are you guys okay? And Kirby's like, I'd be coming after this queen. And they put their differences aside to come for Luke and Janine, mostly Janine. And I feel bad for Janine, but I was like, I'm so glad you guys are okay. And I'm so glad. Like, I'm gonna say it. Kirby and Sarah for the amazing race. Like, I want it.
Wow. Who would have thought that Kirby would be part of two of your favorite arcs in Survivor AU history?
Probably anyone. Kirby's like legitimately incredible television. It's amazing we found her and we should never give her up. See, that's the thing. If you were to ask Kirby, like, what does the show mean to you? She'd be like, I found out about it this year. And I freaking love it, and that's legitimate. So yeah, I thought that was great. Anything else from the final tribal council? Because I want to talk about Suri again. Does anyone else have anything else about this?
I loved JLP's side eyes.
Oh, JLP.
Like, God, such a great reaction to your point, Kirby and Sarah double teaming Janine, and just JLP's reaction in the moment. Obviously, he did not know that this would be his last season, but what a great way to, like, again, throw in all these little moments. I don't know if it was purposeful or not, to just show that, like, this guy has been eating this season up. If he had pulled a Jeff and come to tribal council with snacks, I would not have been mad at him whatsoever, because it would have felt very deserved.
He was so good. Yeah. He was so good. Even during the immunity challenge where Luke is like writhing in pain and JLP goes, Luke, you look like a hot mess for about an hour. I screamed. Why would you say that to that man? But him saying goodbye to Suri, it wasn't Jeff, but you could still feel the admiration just like radiating off of him as she's like, Jonathan, don't say it. I'm like, yeah, Jonathan, don't say it, jerk. Don't you do this.
I hate you, but I love you and I miss you.
Right, exactly. He was so good. I don't know, man. If this is your first time watching an AU season and your first time getting to know JLP, I think that this is definitely a way to go out. But
don't get attacked.
Go back and
go back.
Back. Go enjoy the heyday. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, okay. So to talk about Suri, because we watched her lose again, so that was painful. But she made it. She made 5.
How
do we look back at Suri's game? Because Parvati was saying, like, whatever, it speaks for itself. Luke and Janine almost also speaks for itself. But Suri's the one that's complex for me, because is there a better path? Is she always getting to a 2-2 at best? Other than with Lisa, but then she has no power to do that. Is the issue losing the power? She had the power in the relationship with Parvati earlier on, and she loses it in that double tribal and can't recover. Chappell, you love Suri maybe almost as much as me. Not as much, but slightly less. Have you spent a lot of time thinking about how this could go? Because I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, it really does bother me that it's like sometimes it feels like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't when it comes to Suri. Yeah. But she does have deficits in her game. It's the physical part is really going to be a hurdle that she's going to have to get over sometime. Or if she can't get over that, she's got to Suri her way to the end, and only the way that only Suri can do. And so here we see her going to the end with Parvati, which isn't great. But I don't know if you always have a season where Suri has a Parvati. I think their like legacy of, the last 20 years, the Micronesia story, all that kind of stuff. That's a person that I think Suri is like, I'll go heads up with that person. And if I lose, I'm okay. I think most of the time Suri has found her Aris that she's about to beat, or her, like she's found her other person that she's like, nah, I'm on the way. Come on, Michaela. Like she's got Parvati. Right. One time it was actually Parvati. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's not always going to be a situation where she can't get over the hump. I just think that like these circumstances prove that Suri, with her massive target, with her her incredible reputation as somebody who she might not win those challenges, but she doesn't even have to a lot of times because she's still going to find her way to the end. She did so well in this game. I would have said Suri playing a very physical game of AU would have been like an uphill battle for her. She's got this huge target on her back. She's got to win these challenges that like are more physical than the ones we see in the US. Suri looked like she was at home. She was back on Survivor doing the things that she always does. People were coming to her with the plan, running the stuff past her. There's been times where Janine came to Suri, I need you real quick. Lisa, like, hey, give me your advice on this because you're like, because that's what you do. The Suri glow is still working. And even Luke goes out saying some very good things about Suri, considering he's like not very familiar with her gameplay. He sees her up close and he's like, yeah, it's been an honor to play with you. It's there. I see it. So for me, this should show that Suri can make fire. And because of that, if she needs to make fire, that's something I don't have to worry about her. Now, should she make fire faster? Absolutely. Well, like, I saw her
part
do
of the competition.
I
think it's
her
about.
Don't worry, it got voted out of. It probably got voted out of 50. She prepared for nothing.
I'm gonna be annoyed if it didn't.
Please, God. Please, God. Voted out of 50.
Studying for a test you didn't need to have that day.
It's my girl. It's my girl. And I want her to be able to win any season, Shannon. But I mean, it's really hard. She's getting older. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's no spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, but the challengers that she's doing, these AU season challenges, they're harder. They're harder. These young spry individuals are knocking them out.
Bro, she did better on that torture rack than any of us could have.
Oh, absolutely. I'm out first. I'm out first every time.
I'm out 30 seconds before it starts. I don't stand up on it.
Go back to the episode 4 challenge. Like, that was individual, and she outlasted like a good amount of the Australia challenge.
Yes.
The thing about
she beat them.
Yeah, that was a good time.
The thing about Suri that is so mystifying me. I mean, I think you and I talked about this last time, Shannon. I do think the sliding door was probably that double Cass and Tommy vote where they're legitimate path with the internationals. I mean, again, you'll talk to her as to like whether she did actually anticipate going to the end with them and cutting Parvati at some point. I mean, the thing about Suri that is like simultaneously maddening yet so hardening is that like she lost, sadly, tragically, fallen angel again, and was like, yeah, but I made the fire. Like, I don't know if it's just her sunny disposition, but I feel like Suri with her reality TV career, we have come such a long way from her breaking all of our hearts in that confessional in Micronesia, apologizing to her family, where like she has been like the most fine person with advantage getting, even if literally every other person has not. She seems pretty copacetic with this, obviously disappointed, but not like devastated. I don't know, maybe
she's not Lisa.
Did the Traitors win help her shine a little bit of like, listen, I have that to take care of. You know, everything after this is gravy.
I think, yeah, like the big argument we made in the draft, right? I think that helps, which is she is gone. She is like a legend of this sport, and then she took her talents to other sports and also held her own there with the win on the Traitors, with going all the way to 5th place on Big Brother. I think that makes you feel a lot better at, you know, I know what I'm doing, all encompassing with it. I think she does voice that being given the best to never win is an annoying title to have, especially when winning could just change that right up. But I think that with every step she's taking, she's getting a step closer, or she's leaving in a very unique way. It's always going to feel better than going out at like 8th through like a vote. Like this is Suri we're talking about. Her last 2 exits on Survivor where no one voted you, but you got advantage getting, and you got voted, but it went to a fire, and you thought you were cooked with the fire. You had a chance with the fire, and then I think that was the thing. What Chappell said really eased me watching this, because it wasn't a wash. It wasn't done before it even started. It was toe to toe. I was actively thinking, oh my god, what could our arguments be against Parv? This could be interesting. So that we're going to be robbed of that, but I think that it couldn't have gone. If she was going to leave, this was like the best way to leave.
I mean, what's also interesting is that obviously she wants to cross off, best player to never win, and just cross off never to win. But like, think about this logically. Every season, there are increasingly more and more people to not win the game. And Suri keeps doing well to a certain level where she has that position at number 1. It becomes arguably even more of a prestigious title every single season she participates in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there aren't that many winners, but she's the best to never win. No, okay, this is okay. Yeah. Suri doesn't go home with a majority, right? Damn you, plurality votes! You are undoing this whole time. No, but I think that here's the thing about this. Is that, as said, with great pain last week, this isn't because of the God Idol, this isn't because of the surprise Final 3, this isn't advantage getting. The heroes versus villains, there was stuff there, but I blame Tom and Colby for that one. But I do think that this was somewhat of Suri's own making, because she got through this Final 4 that was tough. But then I think maybe almost winning Fire was the best shot. Is she getting to a space where she has more than like a 2-2 here to take her through? No, and we do know that she has those gaps where it's like she can't rely on winning the challenge, she can't like fully invest in winning the Fire, and maybe this was as close as she could get. But I do think that the two things with Suri's game is like she had, I think, the control through the pre-merge, like compared to Parvati, because that's always what we have to do with these amazing women with like Xandra and Suri, which sucks. But like I think that Parvati's game earlier on did not have the emphasis. Like, she was good at protecting herself and she got the idol. But like Lisa said, she would have been gunning for Parvati next on a pre-merge tribe. And like Parvati had the idol, but she didn't have really the control. So Rhea had that social capital and the control. I think Parvati gets back a bit at the Sarah vote and then loses it a bit at the Kirby vote. And I do think Cirie was on the up there comparatively. But then in that double tribal, Pav just starts slaying and she never stops slaying. And the ascent it was still good. Like the beginning of the game still good. But then she like goes so high and Cirie, like the game starts slipping from under her. She doesn't have as much control. And then she doesn't have the outs here at the end. It would have been a hard final tribal council for her as well. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about the fact that it looks like she would never have cut Pav. And I don't like that because even game aside, and the game is ridiculous from Parvati. I think Parvati comes in with the name recognition that Cirie, other than with Lisa, doesn't have. And I think Parvati is winning in that duality. And I don't think that's the right read. So those are my two major criticisms, is losing the power through the double tribal and beyond, and then never cutting Parvati, which, while beautiful, I think is flawed. But I love Cirie with my whole heart, and I will till the day I die.
Would you have voted for Cirie against Parvati?
Yeah, I would have. The same way Sarah's allowed to vote for Luke. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like Cirie doesn't need she just needs to get to the end. I think
that's not this cast.
I think it is.
If she plays, no, it's not.
I think it is.
He plays a better game than Parvati. Parvati gets that. Parvati gets Shawnee and Kirby. I'm telling you.
I disagree. I think these people are sitting on the jury. I think Cirie spent more than 3 hours with these people, and so they're already ready to vote for her. In my life, if she gets to the end, it's unanimous. Sarah thought about voting for Luke, but she wouldn't.
Shannon, you don't know that. Please ask Luke if he lost fire, who he would have voted for in the final.
Yeah, I'm sure
and listen, he might try to save face by saying someone else. But listen, we know. Look, until I see people not vote for Cirie,
Cass is voting.
I have to believe she will win unanimously. I have to believe it. I'm sorry.
Says Parvati is the person who made her love the game.
Show me the proof. Show me the proof.
I think that argument is exactly why Cirie shouldn't do that, because even if Cirie continued the first half of the game and is outplaying Parvati, I still think Parvati wins on name recognition and reverence alone, the same way we would vote for Cirie. Even though Parvati just played that game.
If she makes it to the end, there shouldn't even be a vote. She made it to the end. Give her the crown.
Chappell.
Let's get through this. Let's
you
wrap
might
this
be a little
up.
biased. I myself am not biased.
Biased? Absolutely not. This is science. This is like legit. Like the numbers don't lie, Shannon. People are voting for Cirie, damn it.
Okay, well, that was what I had on Cirie. Do we want to talk about the season? Where does the season, Pooya, what do you think about you once called Times Be Rebels your favorite season in Global Survivor history? Where does this rank?
Ooh.
This is up there. I mean, listen, with ranking seasons, you can rank them from I've watched it once lens, and then you can rank it from is it rewatchable? Can you watch it multiple times? This is 10 episodes, action-packed, easily palatable. There are really little to no skippable moments, and it's just fun. It's nostalgia-driven. It reminds you of the greatest hits. You know, the old, like, now that's what I call music CDs. This is kind of that for Survivor a little bit. It's like you got a little bit of everybody there. So for me, like, there were some sad moments with some of the boots that happened, but that was always going to happen with this season. So I think it ranks very highly. Now, I'm not somebody who has a list of all the rankings, so I can't give you one of them ones, but I can tell you this is easily is it a top 10? I think it might be top 10. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say of Australian Survivor. I was like, okay, it's better than one season of Australian Survivor.
Yeah. No, I'm like thinking of all of the seasons, because also remember, because again, I'm ranking, when I'm doing it, it comes down to, can I rewatch? Like, rewatch matters to me because I don't rewatch often anymore.
Okay, let's try to boil this down a little bit more. Try to do apples to apples. How does this compare to other returnee player seasons? Is this the best one? Is it up there?
It's better than Winners at War.
No,
it's not better than Heroes vs Villains. Still, I think.
I think that's the big comparison.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's better than Winners at War.
Better than Game Changers.
Would say that yes. Wow. We've got all the way better than Game Changers. I think that even comparing it to like other Australian Survivor seasons, the issue was like the end game was predictable. The edits became, as we know with Australian Survivor, quite extreme, and that's true of even like the best possible Australian Survivor seasons as well. Which that's probably how we would categorize this as well. I think this is just so different. Like, like other seasons never slow down and maybe have less predictable end games, as an example. But no other season did some things that this season did for me. Like some of the feelings I had watching that premiere and watching a lot of this, that merge and the people all coming together. This is just different. Like, I'm sorry that that's not ranking. This is in a different category for me of awesomeness. I'm not going to rank it because I feel like it's unrankable. It's just like a completely different thing.
So you asked me to rank it. That was your question to me to rank it, and then you're not ranking it.
Yeah.
Is it the best season of all time? No, not for me.
No, we're talking about returnee seasons.
Yeah.
No, it's not the best season of all time for me. I think it slowed too much down at the end game. If it had kept up the pace that it did, like, and that, to be fair, that's 30% of the season. It was very short. It couldn't afford to slow down. In saying that, it was, because Parvati was so brilliant and what a privilege to watch her work. But there are more flawless seasons than this. But this season is special in ways other seasons will not be. This experience is up there with something like Return of the Outcast for me, which is my favorite experience watching, and covering any Survivor season. Does it top Return of the Outcasts? No, I don't think so. But I love it. Yeah.
And that had an AU-esque episode over. That was 24 episodes.
Yeah, I needed more. That's a big point for me as well. I wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the perfect length. I know that there's a lot of arguments, I think, when it comes to both Parvati's game and about this season of like, why was it only 14 players? I don't know. I've said this before. I think this season firmly shows to me that I think day count doesn't matter as much as what you fill those days with. That I think if people have access to grind with New Era Survivor, it doesn't come down to 26 days, but what they choose to put within those 26 days to make it feel like a faster paced game. But when it comes to this season overall, I mean, I'm gone on record many times to say I'm kind of weird about returning player seasons. Like if you tell me you can watch a really good returning player season or a really good all newbie season, I'm going to choose the all newbie season every time. So I feel like if I talk about AU seasons, I think I would slot it in below Titans versus Rebels, probably below 2017, probably right above Heroes versus Villains AU
very
edition.
High praise.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this season. I think that, yes, there was some understandable consternation from people about the boot order early on, that we got rid of like 4 incredible characters in the beginning. That was due to happen no matter what. And I think it opened up the game a bit more to watch people like Cass and Tommy operate. I think my largest sticking points with this season is not even the gameplay. Like even Heroes versus Villains AU, or US, I should say, like, except for Danielvo, was pretty much a straight hero pagonging. Like, I don't care much so about, like, is the gameplay exciting? I care about the people that I am watching. I feel like, unfortunately, we kind of fell into a bit of the flaws that come with Australian Survivor editing, which is, again, we got a lot of Parvati from the very beginning. This was her season. She was the main character from beginning to end. It came at the cost of not being able to see as much of Cass and Tommy. We were given a dearth of Shawnee content, which was really, really sad considering how much of a big character that she is and how important she is to AU in general. But by and large, I was so incredibly impressed by this season because you could tell, Lisa question be damned, these people cared. They were putting every ounce of energy they could possibly give into standing up at tribal council for the umpteenth time to whisper whether or not the plan has changed. It was a season where these people were kept on their toes, not just because of any twists or turns that might be thrown away. That's another big point in this season's favor, is that we got a twist. And even then, it was like a little wild. Why did they do a rock draw to determine the fire maker? But again, considering Australian Survivors, that's very tame by comparison. But it was not spurred on by any sort of things that were thrown on to make these players do wild and crazy things. It was spurred on by the competition. That because these people were operating at such a level, it encouraged all these live tribals to happen and people to go crazily paranoid trying to think about what to do. That is Survivor in a nutshell. That's what kept us glued to this screen for a quarter of a century. And it made me so happy to get the chance to watch this and remind myself that the simplicity that can exist in format breeds the complexity that can exist in strategy. And so it feels special to me in that regard, getting to watch all of these characters come back again and to see how special this was to Parvati. I definitely want to mention that down the line as well when talking about what this means for Parvati at some point in her life. It was such a beautiful story as well, even if it did feel a little over the top. So it ranks incredibly highly for me. I would put it up there as one of the greatest. I think for many reasons, AU has big shoes to fill come next year.
Yeah, Chappell, did you put it somewhere?
Yeah, I guess. So for me, I really have to carry two things at one time, right? Like now that the season's over and I've seen the whole picture, I'm like, okay, what is the season story? How does that resonate with me? The characters, the moments. But watching it week to week was so riveting. I cannot remember the last time I was that excited week to week watching Survivor. True. It's like, I mean, every episode, because there's the names, the stakes are so high. Every episode is like it could be anybody, and we don't know how it's going to happen, and it wasn't predictable. We came in thinking David's got this big alliance coming into the game, Luke's got a good, and then like boom, it all blows up because Kirby shows up and she doesn't play those rules. It's like I don't know. It's the anticipation from episode to episode leading up to maybe like 2 episodes ago was just so high. I was terrified to watch the episode because I was like, oh my God, this could be the one that Suri goes. What if somebody does this? What if somebody does that? Yeah, and like
cried
I'm saying, like
episodes.
Now it's like we've stepped away from it because we've seen it and we're like, oh, okay, now moving away from it, maybe it's not as dramatic. But the moments while we were in it, while we were like watching from week to week, I don't know. I think we're underselling how exciting it was just seeing them walk out onto the screen. It's just, I don't know. It's a really good season. I definitely like it better than some returning seasons. But it's just, there's some slow moments. I think AU for me, it's hard for me to rank them because a lot of the AU seasons, the biggest fault for them is this. It's just too long for me. It's just not my bag to watch so many drawn out.
Cover it every year. What do you?
But it's just long. It's just a lot of episodes. I like to rewatch shows, It's like I have an issue with Big Brother. Too many episodes. For AU, it's too long. This kind of felt like it took the magic of AU and condensed it for Chappell. It was like, hey, this is perfect for you. 10 episodes in and out, and you can still get the same type of action. Honestly, we could have used a little bit more, but I think that the condensed size of it makes it like very favorable for somebody like me who doesn't like to sit through 26 episodes of TV every time. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right. So Chizzy, because I don't think I have the Chizzy theme song. Because Mike, do you have it, or we're gonna have to sing it?
You know what? Even if I have it, I want you to sing it.
It's not gonna be me. It's gonna be all of us. Yeah. Okay. Great. Needed someone to do that.
It's Chizzy. It's Chizzy. It's getting kind of Chizzy. 3, 2,
1.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
You made it to Hollywood. Get the golden ticket.
Did you have it? Did you have the Chizzy theme song?
No.
Why would Mike have the Chizzy thing on?
Why not? This is my podcast.
Without you.
I'm not on this. I don't have access to this stream like you do.
I mean, I could play you a clip of Rupert stealing the shoes. Would you like
please,
that?
Please. Why? We're talking about seasons that I love injecting into my veins. Pearl Island's me now.
Well, it's going to be a different Chizzy because we don't have the theme song. And also, we had the raffle. Now, Rachel Johnson won the Chizzy raffle and sent me her points. Now, Rachel, firstly, I want to thank everyone who donated. We're getting more donations in even after the raffle. We're up to $2,830 for Forever After Rescue. And they have said that they were able to help some cats that needed urgent medical attention. So we are really like saving lives here, which is so cool because this is a podcast about like Survivor and we're doing that. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much to everyone who donated. I heard from a lot of people about how they wanted, who they were going to give the Chizzy points to, how they were going to break the Chizzy. Tommy Guam said he was going to give a point to Peter. Peter then said he would have given a point to Tommy Guam. So that would have been an interesting thing. A lot of people wanted to break it. Rachel did not break it, really. I will read out what she said. She said, thank you for the great honor of being allowed to allocate Chizzy points. I put on my Chizzy t-shirt for the occasion, and I'm choosing to steal the recap bitches points. We can see if we agree with her points after the fact.
Yes, Australia won at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We won the draft, gentlemen.
You got the
we won the
victory.
draft. We're good.
This is what matters. Thank you, Rachel. She said, first, I would like to give an honorable mention to Twinkle for being a sweet and darling little cat. Twinkle is her cat. Twinkle got an honorable mention.
Yes, Twinkle.
Yes, Twinkle. Second, an honorable mention to JLP for being the greatest host in the world. He's been a joy to watch, and it's hard to accept he'll never give anyone else a nod to go up to vote. Never the JLP laugh again. Damn.
It's really crazy. You had the opportunity to give him a Chizzy on the way out, and you didn't. That's crazy.
I know. I think most people would have done that. She's going to go up in 1, 2, 3 order. 1 point will be a memorial point for Suri. She was so gracious in defeat, and it was heartbreaking to see. One reason for a point is the fact that Parvati wanted to take it to the end, even though they would have made big competition for her. Their friendship was beautiful to see, and she did well on the fire when it must have been so stressful for her after her previous losses. True. I feel like it should be a mark. against Cirie that she wasn't able to convince Janine to stay with them. Hey, but I think this was a mistake by Janine, so Cirie has to get the point. Okay.
I've always loved memorial chizzies. Something about somebody getting a chizzy after
so
they
mad
get eliminated
last
just
week.
makes so. No, when you say Cirie is getting one, it feels different. You know, like I don't know.
Everything's memorial. The season is over. They all lost except Parvati. So it's a finale.
We'll see if Cirie gets one in this from me this time. Oh, we don't get one.
You don't get one.
I would have gave one to Cirie anyway. So thanks.
Who else? There's 4 people. We'll get your points after. She says 2 points for Luke. I was very impressed with his final tribal speech. He spoke much better than I was expecting, but still came across as a happy larrikin with a big heart. The jury seemed to respond positively. He also did well at staying calm during the fire making when his sticks kept falling down. Aww. So that was good for him, even though I was praying for him to lose. And he got Janine to say loyal to him, which was surprising and impressive. All right.
Okay.
Luke, less on that.
Yeah, I will say that the final 4 round was low-key pretty miserable for Luke. Like, he put himself in traction. Probably, has to go to chiropractors for life with his performance in the immunity challenge. And it was not a blowout as much as people expected. And a lot of that is on Cirie for her underdog performance. A lot of it is on Luke as well for kind of just haphazardly putting together these structures that kept collapsing. As much as he said he didn't want to play a big, flashy, crazy game, his fire making pretty much represented that lacking part of his game.
Yeah, you never knew when he was suffering in those challenges, right? He just, just quietly suffered. I'm joking. It sounds like he was giving birth every time. 3 points for Parvati. How could anyone but Parvati get the 3 points? She was so strong at the final immunity challenge and then fantastic in final tribal. The reveal about getting the advantage when Luke sent her away from the auction, then Cass's face when she said that line that she hadn't read out before were awesome moments. Truly incredible that one of the biggest threats in the game from day one made it to the end. Hard to argue. Would you guys have argued with those points? What would your points have been?
I am very happy she had our points. I'm very content. All the way to the honorable mention to Twinkle. So
that's exactly what you were going to do. We love Twinkle on this podcast. Thank you all for your donations. We did something actually really special here, and that is amazing. I'll give my points because they weren't stolen. Firstly, I will give 3 points to the queen. Parvati Shallow won the game in such fine fashion.
The GOAT.
She did it so well in this episode. Like, this episode specifically. It's not just that she played so well. Like, Final Tribal Council, no notes. Like, Final Endurance Challenge, we knew. It was great. It was perfect. 3 points. I'll give 1 point to Cirie Fields.
You're just copying her points. You're just copy-pasting her points right now is what I'm seeing.
But she's doing it in a dramatic fashion, Pooya.
Yeah.
1 point to Cirie, who I love so much, crazy. Who almost made fire. She
did make fire. No, she made fire. She made fire.
Who almost made it in time, in the time limit allocated before Luke did, which was actually the task at hand.
Okay.
She came so close, and this was maybe the best route. Losing at the end isn't the best, but maybe it's always going to be a 2-2. And if she almost made the fire, maybe that's the best path for her. 1 point to Cirie. What a gift it's been to give her Chizzy points. And I'll give my 2 points to JLP.
Yeah!
Because the Chizzy bylaws say that if a host is leaving, and he was great, on that one occasion, he or she, were there ever to be a female host, and there never will be, let's be honest, he or she may get Chizzy points. And Rachel didn't break the Chizzy, and honestly, respect to her, because maybe everyone else who donated would have broken the Chizzy. But my mom was going to give 6 points to JLP if she won. I will give my 2 points to JLP. And even my brother, the biggest Chizzy purist on this earth, was like, I think you could do that. I think it's a special circumstance. JLP, 2 points! 2 points to JLP.
So well deserved. Can I say one more thing about Parvati as the official prediction before we start wrapping things up? Because I posted about this a little bit, but Parvati came out with her book a couple of months ago. Buy it wherever tomes are sold, I suppose. But she gets into, a lot of detail about the life that she has led up to this life. The surprisingly, I would say, eventful life. I will not spoil too many of the beats. Again, very much suggest you check it out. But she describes a lot of situations that taught her how to be resilient. And as much as I'm talking about, narratives that she's claiming to help her case at Final Tribal Council, when she says in that moment, sitting in those fires, that her life has led to this moment right here, I believe it authentically. Because obviously she has played all these games of Survivor that have given her the base set of skills that she can use to come back for, the 5th time here. But also looking at what Parvati has gone through specifically in the past 5 years, between, she talks about going out to Winners at War and how she was not in a good place whatsoever, that she felt like she had to do it given the theme, but she was leaving her child behind. Her marriage was not on a shaky surface, or was on a shaky surface, I should say, to say the least. I think she was certainly going through her own sort of crisis out there on the island, and then COVID changed everything for her. It has been so magical to watch her return to television as honestly a different person over the past couple of years. And it's only been a couple of years. That's wild. Between Traders last year and then Dondi and now this, you could tell that what Parvati brought to this particular season was this unique blend of, what she was able to bring in from her past with what she was able to incorporate from her present to make her finally feel like a complete person, to not put words in her mouth. And I think that almost gave her the freedom to play more fully. And granted, again, a lot of this was circumstantial, but it felt like for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like she was playing a character that was sort of like shoehorned in by an edit, or someone that had a lot of stuff going on in her mind and sort of played things at an arm's length. Like, this felt like maybe the first time we'd actually seen Parvati Shallow as Parvati Shallow play. And I think that's, certainly bears out in her success as well. So I just want to commend Parvati, especially learning more about her backstory, and the fact that this to me is such a microcosm, not micronesiacosm, of the fact that she is in a place in her life where she can come back to the game that changed her life and freaking rock it from day 1 to day 16.
Shannon said that she doesn't think there will be a woman host of Survivor. I think
it's the best.
I think if Jeff steps down, Parvati's next in line.
Look, Chappell, like I said to you when you thought Saray would win, I said be realistic. I'm just saying it hasn't happened yet. Has it? Where is the international franchise where a woman is hosting the show? Why are you hating?
He's such a hater. Where's the international franchise where Parvati just won AU versus the world? Huh? Where's that? Oh, it's in AU. And her good friend David got the job. So I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Crazier things have happened. Exactly. Crazy things have happened.
Yeah. Zach in the chat is asking who we want on another AUV World. Mike asked if we want another AUV World. Of course we do. Of course we do. We'll take it every year.
How many times before is like super diluted though?
So that's what I brought up in our podcast, was that I watched Drag Race. I've seen All Stars. I think what really helped with this cast was the fact that because it was so unique, we got legends of the game and really great, runner-ups and otherwise from all around the world. I think if we do a couple more, we could still maintain that level. And then we sort of start getting to not necessarily the bottom of the barrel, but certainly a level where it's like, all right, we just wanted to bring you back.
Damn, let us have a sequel before we start complaining about that.
Bring Saray back 4 times like Ginger Minge, like
they're the same cast.
There's precedent. Yeah.
What names do we have? I mean, I've said a few. So I was South Africa. You could bring so many. Palesa, Marion. I would love Matt Haywood from Survivor UK. Honestly, there was a lot in Survivor Quebec. Andre for AUV World. We'd love Rob. We'd love Natalie Anderson, Jeremy. Does anyone else have names here?
Tyson's my number 1.
Yes, Tyson and Natalie. Tyson and Natalie both.
I think Adam Klein would be fun as well because he's so tapped in. He can be like the Lisa that we had.
Jam.
So many good people. We need Sandra and Nina, but which tribe? From the Australians, Ferris and Haley, I think were the 2 we were really missing.
The Dirty Harry.
Harry, Miles, AJ.
That's
Simon.
My boy. I'm sorry. I'm signing up for every season. Harry's signing up for.
Are they hearing my casting advice? Yeah, there's a lot of good people.
God, I don't think we'll ever see those people again.
Yeah.
No.
Do we have more? Should we get to the plugs?
I mean, there's so many. I feel like the US version, what I would like is that if we're going to look for legends, get the people we haven't got to see play again, or like somebody like that we have like, like we have kind of like a reverence for them, but we haven't actually got to see them back in action. So maybe like a Todd Herzog or somebody like that, where it's like they won, they're a legend in their own right, but we don't have as much data on them. So maybe let's put them up against the other legends and see how they stack up.
Or even like, I think the story with Tyson was like, I think he was asked, but like it was not enough money. Like maybe now
he said that. He said that this week. And no, he said that they rejected him. He said they said yes and then reject. And I was like, oh my God.
But I do think if you watch it and you're like, okay, now this is such a smash success, I want to come back again. Like, I think maybe you get a Tyson, you get a Wentworth back, because now the appeal of playing this caliber.
She said she didn't even want to play 50. Kelly, what's wrong with you?
She want to play this.
Yeah, what is wrong with her? Kelly Wentworth, stop playing.
It's not up to you. This show, and honestly,
it's not up to her. It's not up to her. We do this for the fans. She's one of us.
She's been watching. She's been commenting on it. There's so many good people trying to say.
Hear me,
Malcolm,
Kelly, when
Todd,
I say
Earl.
stop telling us you won't play Survivor. You're playing Survivor, young lady.
Okay. Do we have more?
Yeah,
we could just keep rattling names.
I would say just start grabbing the people that people were most up in arms about for not getting cast on Survivor 50. Like just bring Sean Rector in there.
Rob Sesternino. I mean, there's a list.
Such a good way to be successful, to just do what people are mad at US not doing. Like, we also have an auction. We also have a vote at the Final Four.
Like,
you know,
God, I love those
best way to be
successful. Yeah.
Chappell, what do you have going on? Tell the people.
So last week was Chappell week over on RHAP, where we talked about Big Brother a lot. You don't have to worry about me talking about Big Brother anymore, okay?
Except was news for Big Brother this week.
No, nothing to talk about.
No, we good.
Yeah, but the only time you're gonna hear me talking about it is behind the paywall, because that's how aggrieved I am. Okay, so make sure you become a patron of RHAP. It was like I just can't even. I can't even just express. But anyway, so catch me behind the paywall. I think we're doing a special slop this week where we might be in front of the paywall for a little bit, at least, until people can see maybe a peek into the funeral of one of the people who we would be putting up in any Big Brother versus the World season for sure. Even though now I never want them to be associated with the show anymore. The point is, catch me on RHAP behind the paywall, become a patron and watch the slop, and then watch my podcast, Recap Kickback, youtube.com/@recapkickback, where I'm talking about whatever I want, including Flavor of Love season 2. Chantel has never seen it. And so she's about to find out what a safari is. And it's going to be a great time. Good times. Yeah.
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. I'm there 5 times a week right now, cooking up content, different variety. Check that out. Right now, if you are done with, A vs. the World finished, you're done with other shows for unknown reasons, come watch Traders Ireland with me and Annabelle. We're just starting off. We've talked about week 1 so far. Week 2 is about to begin. There's an easy catch up. Very fun so far. Definitely recommend it. And as always, reigning draft champion and married still, myself and Liana talk every week on the Pooya and Liana Lounge. If you don't think we're going to talk about this win, got another thing coming. So that episode isn't out yet, but we've talked about the state fair we went to this week. So check out that episode and come through for the celebrations next week's episode. And also, I will be recording 90 Day at some point. I've just been behind a couple weeks. Allow me. It's fine. We're all friends. It's cool. Like Chappell, I don't talk about Big Brother anymore, but Liana is doing her 1 episode recap per season that she's been on this Tuesday. When we talk about this special episode, it's going to be me and Liana joining Rob Sesternino. So,
I heard that was really uneventful.
Oh, it's good. It's
the equivalent of that one episode of Brains versus Brawn where they did the challenge into the fire making challenge into the one boat that sent Bait into Redemption Rock, but worse.
Except at least he went to Redemption Rock. It's like episode 10 of Titans v Rebels. Imagine him raging at that and pissing off people and pissing off production forever if you did that. But anyway, it's good to rage against production when they do bad things, I think. But this was a great season. Mike, what do you have going on?
Yeah, so listen, if you like Survivor, and I would fancy a guess that you do, considering that you watched this entire season. In just a couple weeks, there is a new season of American Survivor, aka Poverty Shallow's origin story, coming up on September 24th. And I got to go out to Fiji and talk with all 18 people in that cast. We have released pretty much all of them up at this point over at parade.com, as well as over here on Rob Has a Podcast. We've got, I believe, 2 more interviews coming out, and then Rob and I do a big wrap up of the final tribe. So get to know this cast, backload them, binge through them. Shannon has been giving me her live reactions as she's been listening to them, and it's been absolutely incredible. So feel free to check that out. And of course, all the stuff I'm doing once the season begins, the B&B covering it for Parade, the Reality Flash. When there's reality TV news, I get to be in your eyes and ears talking about it. Dancing with the Stars released its cast last week. I got to talk with Matt and Sasha about it. It was a great time overall. If you want a little bit about what to know about these new stars, feel free to check that out. I am still on the Big Brother train. I punched my ticket a while ago for this long destination, so I'm still covering that with weekly exit interviews on Parade. And I am on the Stock Watch tomorrow. So
yes. Give them hell. Give them hell.
We're going to have some fun. I think we are all going to have a very
fun You seem like you're all having a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, fun's a very operative term.
Yay.
And so check that out as well. Amazing Race, we'll be doing a couple podcasts about that. And I guess the last thing I'll plug is that I've seen a lot of people say that this was their first AU season in a while. And they're like, okay, I love this season. It was incredible. What do I watch next? And I guess what I can tease is that Shannon and I, in the coming weeks, might have a podcast to help you with that. A little guide to the world of Australian Survivor if you want to watch more of it. Otherwise, for everything else, including maybe a chat with one of the very people we talked about on this podcast, you can check out everything I'm doing on social media at a Mike Bloom Type.
All right. Well, my plugs. Mike plugged one of the things. What's coming up for Shannon other than divorce? I have a lot of things. Thank you, Zach. Exits to come. The Poverty one is out. Again, I don't have Luke scheduled, but I think I'm getting Luke. I'm talking to Sari in less than 24 hours. I'm talking to Neen in less than an hour. So I should probably go do that and then deep dive. So stay subscribed. WeKnowGlobalSurvivor.com. Follow me at Shannon Gates for all of this because I have been talking to Pav. I was chatting yesterday and then me and Peter were like, she's typing. We can see the dots. Like, it was great. So we are looking at a longer conversation with at least Pav, hopefully more. Everyone spam Sari and tell her to do a longer chat with me. I did message her too, and I told Bryce to put in a good word, but we'll see how that goes. Also, we'll be covering 49. I have been loving Mike's interviews all on this feed. I'll be covering that on Survivor Global with some guests throughout that season. So yeah, keep up to date with all of that. And then the podcast where we tell you guys what to watch. Now, I want to thank everyone so much. This has been the season of a lifetime. Covering this has been the culmination of everything. And this community that raised money for cats that are sick and also tuned in every week. It's been such a positive, amazingly beautiful experience. For me, I'm going to go into my hibernation other than all the things I just plugged. I'm going to go do what everyone does after a season of Australian Survivor, and I'm going to have a baby.
Yeah.
So the people that are here on this chat. And that is my biggest plug. Please don't make me get divorced because that is my baby.
Yeah.
Making their podcast debut.
Yes.
And
little Sari.
Yes.
Tony.
Chappell,
is,
baby Chappell.
and I'm plugging that here. I'm plugging my baby here.
You know, the stakes for the draft really should have been the name of your firstborn.
Chappell.
What? Well, they didn't know that at the time.
We can negotiate if you don't want to get divorced naming rights.
We can at least. Do you want to be a single mom? Or do you want to name your baby? What's the
You
choice?
would make me get divorced? Would you bring a child into a broken home?
You made
still?
To be clear,
you broke the home.
Yeah, and then when I got pregnant, you knew the stakes.
I did know the stakes. I fully knew the stakes. I came in. I knew I was having.
You had the most information out of all of us.
Mike knew. Mike knew too. Mike let me do that.
Mike tried to stop you.
Yeah, I was the Sari. I was very much like, I know all this. I'm tangentially related to it. I'm so happy for you. I'm so unbelievably happy for you. How are you feeling right now?
My heart is thumping. Can you hear it in the mic? You only get to announce your baby one time, your first baby one time. And I genuinely I think I've pictured this moment so many times. It doesn't feel real.
Oh, it's real. You did it. You did it.
I'm so glad I did it here because the podcast is so important to me. This podcast is such a huge part of who I am. And this season has been the culmination of so many things. And the chat is saying I got pregnant to avoid paying off the bet. I was pregnant before I made the bet. Okay, I stupidly made the bet knowing what I was putting my marriage on. So Yeah, that's what's happening for me. I have another thing. Peter and I are starting a podcast. Do we have the graphics?
We don't care. Talk about the baby. Talk about the baby.
Why did you choose to plug the podcast after the baby?
Why would you make a thumbnail with no baby in it?
The assumption is that you are systematically ranking the podcast over the baby.
My baby. No.
She buried the lead.
I was gonna do the podcast first, but then we set up the YouTube, and I think the YouTube description is there, and it's like we're gonna talk about a lot of things, podcasting, life, all of that. But then one of the things was our journey to parenthood. So I was like, if anyone were to look at Gussing Around on YouTube, if people went there first,
around how you got pregnant,
then they would be messing around. What?
Guss around and find out, right?
No, guys, don't do that when we have a graphic.
The recap uncles are here. Recap uncles.
I need to credit Rio Teeks. It's Teix on Instagram for that graphic. He does great Survivor stuff. I love my recap uncles.
Yeah, three men and a baby mama. Could that be
yes.
Sick?
Yes.
Guys, when you think about it, the baby will meet Suri tomorrow.
The baby's gonna meet Suri.
Did I tell Suri that I'm pregnant?
Absolutely.
Yes.
He'll be so kind about it.
Yeah. That's Suri. I'm glad I get to talk to you because I've been dying to ask you what I should name my
Alan
baby.
in the chat says Shannon make Suri the godmother in the exit interview.
It's done. It's done.
Oh,
because I think I should get the name right. At Gussing Around podcast. That's what I said.
At Gussing Around.
That's what I said. On YouTube, at Gussing Around podcast. No G. No
Put
second
podcast
G.
at the end. Put podcast at the end.
GUSSIN Around podcast. Sorry, this is a lot for me right now. So okay, so what do we? So you guys are the recap uncles.
Recap uncles.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Recap uncles. Suri will be the godmother.
Yes.
What's wrong?
And Janine is the other godmother.
Yes. Yeah, that would be.
We need a very rich godmother. Yeah, we need money for the baby.
Oh my god, guys, this was a lot. I announced my baby on the finale podcast.
Shannon, I think you deserve everything good. I think you deserve everything good in the world. And I think that this season was for you. I will stand on that. I watched the season. I enjoyed the season, but I do think that, this was for you. And I think there's no coincidence. This is going to be a very fruitful time in your life. And I think that you deserve everything that you get in life. And I wish nothing but the best for you and your husband and your baby. And tell Peter to text me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, Chappell says to text him.
Yes.
There you go.
I talk about my niece.
I mean, obviously getting to peek behind the curtain of again, you are.
Chappell doesn't know the gender, by the way. He's not
I'm willing it into existence. I can't root for a niece.
He has always said it's a girl. We'll see.
It's a girl.
I knowing how much work you put into every ounce of everything that you do is so incredibly admirable, and the fact that you covered, the season that you said from the very beginning is the reason why you've been put here in the first place, honestly, as a culmination, as a culmination, a world, if you will, of your fandom up to this point, to cover it with, again, the usual level of complexity and detail-orientedness and passion that you always do, while also growing an entire ass person in your body at the same time. It just makes me love you so much more and be so in awe of everything you have been able to do this season and will continue to be able to do. And I think if you are even half as caring to this bundle of joy to come as you are to the work that you have been putting forward for nearly a decade, this child is going to be in amazing hands.
Thank you so much.
Russell
hands. The baby loves.
Yeah, the baby's going to go into Russell hands.
This is I'm really hoping that the next season of Australian Survivor is not in its usual time slot. That's my wish.
Okay.
So otherwise the recap uncles are going to really help me out when this baby is very inconveniently born right in the middle of my busiest months of the
podcast
year.
With us.
Can the baby podcast instead of you? So it's 3 of us and the baby.
You didn't let us podcast with Asher, Mike.
I'm trying to get Asher involved. Listen, I'm trying to soak him.
If you've
slowly
joined Mike when he's playing Goose Goose, Asher is very much involved. Asher takes over, is what happens.
I love that.
Asher is Asher would lose to a bitter jury. He would be the perfect. He would cut so many throats, and they'd be like, "What the hell, man?"
What's wrong with this baby?
Shannon, you and I share a birthday and we're gonna share something else.
Yes,
I'm gonna say something. Liana and I are expecting to have a long call with you later to talk about this naming rights deal.
yes.
No baby, just
You
naming
got
rights
me for
deal.
1 second, then I was like, wait. I was like, don't
This
you
is
suck
the
my
way-
I
dick.
keep
The
doing it. I'm
way
the boy who cried
Shannon-
wolf. I keep doing this on every podcast.
Oh
too.
my
The way
God.
Shannon would never have forgiven you had you like stepped on her baby
So
announcement.
Proposing during someone's wedding.
Yeah.
Yes, which is terrible, by the way. All of the people on Am I the
It's
Asshole
like-
who ask if they're the asshole for proposing during the weddings, yes.
He's
Yeah.
like,
Yes,
Liana
100%.
and I are expecting twins. We're like, well, forget that other baby. Like, we
Yeah.
got 2 over here.
There's a whole Friends episode about this. About this feeling. Look, I don't know where to go from here. I announced my baby on the podcast.
Go talk to
And I-
Three,
Yeah.
because you get to do
Go
that.
talk to Suri.
I have to go. I'm going to talk to Janine. Tomorrow, me and the baby will finally meet Suri.
Does the baby get
That
to
will
ask
happen.
a question?
What?
Does the baby ask a question?
The baby wants to hear if Suri will hang out with me when I'm in America later.
Yeah. Well,
I can tell what the baby wants.
The baby would like us to hang out, but is too shy to say it.
Yeah. Okay. Enough about the baby.
never.
We should wrap up this podcast. Thank you all. Seriously, thank you all. This has been so fun. Follow me at Shannon Gates. I'm gonna go announce my baby, but you guys heard it first because you were the people who cared enough to be here during the plugs of the finale recap. So
This is why you listen to the plugs, people.
yeah, we
Yeah.
really, I don't know, like left it to the very, very last plug. And my God, I thought I'd never get there with the 3 of you. I was like, TikTok, maybe this baby will be born by the time we have to get to announcing it.
I
but
think you should have done your plugs first. I think that should have been the move.
No,
Yeah.
it
Yes.
was it was the big
your
finale of the
podcast.
finale. Yeah. So this is the dream, right? This is
Yes.
everything many different parts of me wanted to announce my baby for the timing to work out so well. Here on this finale recap, sandwiched in between conversations with Janine and Suri tomorrow and Parvati and all of these amazing things. So I'm very lucky. I feel very happy. I feel so grateful for this community and for all of the recap uncles who were just wanting to get that bitch's term out. And it worked. It worked so well.
Uncles,
Well done to all of you.
we
And I will not
won.
be getting divorced because that is absurd. That's an absurd thing to make me do when I've just said I'm
We will
expecting.
figure out what the other thing is now. Yes.
Right. My niece is not growing up in a broken home because you don't know how to pick people in a survivor draft. Okay. We're not doing that. We're not starting this baby off like this.
You're not naming my baby.
Much like
You know that.
Shannon was 2 Australia strong in her draft. If she picked a few more world people, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I regret it every day. And look, if you're going to push me to still get divorced, even though I'm having a kid, I respect that so hard. It's so mean and so competitive. It's everything that I am. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it, honestly. But it's mean. It's really mean. Thank you all. Thanks, guys. Do we have more? Are we done? Is this it? I don't
That's
know how to
it.
wrap up a podcast
And
right
we
now.
good.
Say bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Stay around, keep subscribed, exits, deep dives. Thank you to our team behind the scenes. Thank you to all the recap uncles, and I will see you next time. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.